cornerback, and I wouldn't blame him for that. Because they again, this is a team that barely eked out a couple wins last season, and I mean, the first way to getting everything right is making sure you got a balanced team on your hands before you try to overload one side of the ball.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So I think we just had there was a little thing that I didn't realize that was going on. So I just want to say for the record that we are officially on live now. But once again, we'll just get it down. We got ourselves on the air here, WUSB Sports on YouTube. Zach Wilson, Ken Furman, and Anthony Leon currently on right now, giving you the live reaction of round one of the 2021 NFL Draft. And we are just waiting to see Roger Goodell take the podium, and we're probably once again expecting a lot of boos. But for now, we do have a band at Cleveland playing. And apparently, it's the Kings of Leon. They're taking the stage and rocking it all out.
Well, I don't know if you know, but that's Anthony's favorite band.
Really? Well, once Anthony starts to probably get if Anthony decides to start giving us his reaction about how he likes seeing his favorite band here in the draft. So I guess we'll wait to see.
He's very engaged in the concert. We'll let him rock. But I just want to point out, looking at Bet Online AG, let's see if I can get some betting odds. Some fun betting odds so far include if Trevor Lawrence is going to wear a tie. The under is yes at 105 over 135. And who he will hug first. Looks like the under is his wife, his mom, dad, sibling, or a friend. So there's that. All the odds are saying Trevor Lawrence is gonna be the first overall pick. I'd be stunned if he isn't. Again, I think it's been a given.
I mean, this is all the expectations that we've been getting on over the last few years. Last year, everybody expected Joe Burrow to be number one, especially after Andy Dalton left Cincinnati, and that's exactly what happened. 2018, it was Kyler Murray going to Arizona. 2017, the Browns with Myles Garrett, or actually 2017, Baker Mayfield. 16 was Myles Garrett. So I guess with that 2016, when was the last time that nobody at all was going to be certain about what the number one overall pick looked like?
Maybe that Myles Garrett, but even then, it kind of goes to show too the immediate impact, that first overall player makes. And that's big, especially for a Jaguar squad, because they've been struggling for a long, long time. And when you talk about revamped teams, this team has had a complete overhaul. Okay, so many new faces coming in. Urban Meyer, back as an NFL head coach for the first time, I think in the 15 years. He's coming in with a brand new system. A lot of these guys are going to go into a new system. And again, getting the first overall draft pick, probably going to be Trevor Lawrence, who has been scouted as one of the best college talents ever. This is a team where they want results, and they have a possibility where they can make it happen fast with all of these changes, and especially seeing what Big Brother Tampa Bay did across the pond, in one season, getting Tom Brady, getting all of these key players, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, Sue, etc., Monty David, and winning the Super Bowl, beating the Chiefs, who looked unstoppable past 2 seasons. I mean, the Jaguars are expecting big things, and this is their chance where they can do it, and they can make it big.
Yeah, they sure can. And so Roger Goodell is on the podium right now getting mixed reactions, as he usually does.
I mean, I think everyone's just happy to see fans, mostly social distance. Everyone's wearing masks, which is important, and actually wearing masks too, not just, not pretending to wear.
Yeah, they sure are. We did not have this last year. It was all virtual, with Roger Goodell taking care of everything. And soon he'll announce the Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock. Really, it's really a huge gathering in Cleveland, I could tell. There's not really any open spaces in sight, and I just hope that the fans there are being careful, even though people are starting to get their vaccines for COVID, but they still need to be careful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And with everything going on now, with everything going on now, especially, in the NFL, it's going to be one of the key stories to focus on. What is going to be the biggest difference in terms of games this season compared to last season? We expect more fans are going to be in attendance. We expect, there's going to be a big push for vaccinations, players getting healthy. I think the big thing is just limiting how much how many positive tests there are in the NFL, because that was arguably the sport hit the hardest in terms of the pandemic, where you had virtually entire offenses unable to go on primetime TV, and you had quarterbacks unable to show up, and you're relying on your wide receiver to play quarterback.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing right now is a Jacksonville fan being called by Goodell for some reason. Let's listen to this for a second. You don't know what the deal was. It looked like that fan was going right near the steps or something.
Well, they're just thriving. They're just thriving on just having fans back. They are so, and the fans are so ecstatic about it too. I think is the big thing. Not a lackluster event at all.
Well, you got Joe Thomas right there on the podium as well, giving out his chance since his former team is hosting the NFL draft this year. Joe Thomas, really great all-pro guard for Cleveland during his time. He's really getting his fans riled up after they had their best season in forever. I wonder who this lady is that's just taking a seat now. Must have something to do with the Jaguars being the number 1 overall pick. I'm not completely certain why.
Yeah, E15 looks like.
Hang on a second.
NFL being nice and cautious, letting all the late bloomers come on in.
Yep, and just like that, Roger Goodell has lowered the flag with the 2021 NFL Draft now underway. The Jaguars are officially on the clock, and let's see how long it takes for them to come to a decision to get Trevor Lawrence. They're showing a live view of the Jacksonville Jaguars War Room, and I see their new head coach, Urban Meyer. And that's also going to be quite intriguing. This is going to make quite the intriguing season for Jacksonville upcoming. You got a potential number 1 overall pick in Trevor Lawrence coming to the ball. It hasn't been made official yet, of course, but what's already official is the former Ohio State Buckeyes head coach, responsible for 2 national championships with Florida and Ohio State in his life. Quite fun. And we also have Mike Anderson, who's just joined us. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
How's everybody doing? What's going on, guys?
It's going good. We were just getting down into how the Jacksonville Jaguars have finally gotten themselves on the clock, and I was just mentioning before about how this could be quite an intriguing season. Just waiting to see how long it'll take for them once they draft Trevor Lawrence, most likely.
Yeah, I wonder who they're going to draft. Do you guys think that it's going to be Trevor Lawrence?
No doubt.
I don't know. Not exactly a toss-up now, is it?
I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going
to be throwing touchdown passes to Tim Tebow, it looks like, huh?
Well, that would be fun, too. Isn't that quite? You know what? That would be quite an amazing mind blower. Remember, Tim Tebow was on Florida when Urban Meyer was still there. So you like to see Tebow and Meyer reunite in that capacity.
That's a great point, Zach. I didn't even think about that. Zach, are you excited you're going number 2 overall tonight?
I guess you could say that. I can't wait to be seeing those training camps, hopefully.
You can't blow those jokes yet. You got to give it 10 minutes. Give it 15
minutes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Zach, do you at least have the Jets jersey with number 1 on it?
I have not gotten it yet, but the second I go number 2 for the New York Jets, I am going to try and purchase that jersey. And I'm sure that I will get the appropriate approval to get it.
Yeah,
I'm not even waiting for my name twin to have his number official for this upcoming season. I'm just going to go with whatever it is, whether it's number 1. Because that was his jersey.
The biggest draft day news today, though, is the Aaron Rodgers story. I saw a report a couple of minutes ago. I have a cousin who lives in Colorado. She's a big Denver Broncos fan. Apparently, the Broncos are trying to finalize a trade with the Packers for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how true that is. So we'll see.
I believe it, but hearing the stories where the Niners tried and the Packers said no. It's going to be a stalemate. It's going to be one of those situations where, the Packers aren't going to let him go. And Rodgers, I don't know, he's going to have to find a way to force a trade, or he may be sitting, just may not be playing football for a year or two.
Well, I'm kind of iffy about Aaron Rodgers going to Denver because the Broncos have already gotten themselves quite a quarterback situation there. They just made a trade to get Teddy Bridgewater making certain that Sam Darnold's the starting quarterback with the Panthers, and Drew Lock's still the starting quarterback there. And I don't know if I should be like dissuaded about him yet.
I know. Drew Lock turned me off last year. I was big on Drew Lock as a rookie.
I was too.
After he performed last year, I'm not so sure about that. I think Teddy Bridgewater goes in there and wins that quarterback job.
Yeah, running back situation did look kind of hard. Philip Lindsay underperforming. Like, who was that running back that looked better than him for the Broncos last season?
Melvin Gordon.
And Melvin Gordon, I wasn't really sure about him either.
Melvin Gordon had almost 1,000 yards rushing last year, Zach. Come on now. And they've got a couple of good. They got a couple of good receivers. They got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton's a Pro Bowler. They got KJ Hamler in the second round last year. They got Tim Patrick, big guy. They got a first round tight end and Noah Fant going into his third year. The Broncos have some good weapons.
Well, that's a problem. I think this may have been why Drew Lock was underperforming last season. He didn't have all the weapons he wanted. He could have asked for more. He just didn't get the help he wanted, like Daniel Jones for the Giants last year.
They're so impacted by COVID that they barely had a full team 90% of the time. Had Hamilton filling in for blocking quarterback, and the entire QB staff tested positive for contact tracing.
Yeah, what was his name again? Kendall Hinton. Kendall Hinton, the practice squad.
Oh my gosh, that was the worst thing ever that could have happened to Denver when they lost hard against the New Orleans Saints team that didn't have their starting quarterback too. They had to rely on Taysom Hill, and he obviously has a much better quarterback experience, especially when he was at BYU.
I didn't even know that Taysom Hill was a BYU alum. What I wonder is, why is Jacksonville taking so long to turn in this pick? I guess they're just going to bask in the moment and take all 10 minutes. But
I guess they also want to be absolutely certain that Trevor Lawrence is their newest. It's what they want. I mean, it starts.
Zach, they're absolutely. Come on.
Yeah, I know they are. They just want to make sure that there are no more deaths anymore. I mean, that this past season consisted of Gardner Minshew. That Minshew mania thing just blew off, and that Jake Luton guy was like a one-time wonder or something. I mean, I don't know when that was. I mean, did Jake Luton even win a game this year? They were close to defeating Cleveland.
No, they only won. They only won in week one. They ended the season on a 15-game losing streak.
It's the gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, they had some flashes offense. He had some flashes offensively, but overall it just wasn't enough because Jacksonville's defense was no longer the Saxonville City that it was back in 2017. Like a one-year wonder for many teams.
Every time a new team comes onto the clock, every time it's a new team's turn, we try predicting who it's going to be. So I think that this is the biggest slam dunk right here. Trevor Lawrence is probably going to go number one. So number two, I don't see the Jets taking Justin Fields. It's got to be Zach Wilson here. And it's definitely not going to be Mac Jones. But I do want to bring up this point. If San Francisco was trying to trade for Aaron Rodgers, what does that show you about Mac Jones? What do you think they think of Mac Jones if they were trying to trade for Aaron Rodgers? After trading all the way up to 3, giving up their next 2 first-round picks just to swap with the Dolphins. And now they're quickly trying to get out of it and get Aaron Rodgers. They obviously are turned off by Mac Jones. And clearly they don't like Jimmy G enough. So I wonder how this night is gonna go for the Niners.
I mean, I to be fair, I think virtually every team, take out the Bucks and the Chiefs, if they're saying, hey, we got Aaron Rodgers, seeing him, even he's 36, him perform at an MVP caliber level, him really playing a big part in that offense, being a big contributor, getting them to the conference finals. I think most teams would be taking that risk, making that trade happen. And I agree that, it's not necessarily doesn't reflect the best on San Francisco, but at the same time, I don't really blame them, obviously, for trying to make that trade. I think that's not on Mac Jones. That's more on Jimmy Garoppolo, where it shows they don't have that much faith in his health or his ability to bounce back after helping his team go to the Super Bowl a couple seasons ago. It means they don't really see him as the leader of the offense. And you're right, that is an issue.
I just saw the war room in Jacksonville applauding. I think that means that their pick is finally in.
Every Jets fan in the world hopes this is Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence falls to the Jets at number 2. Oh, that would be amazing.
Yep, the Jaguars pick is officially in. Now we just need to wait for Goodell to once again hit the podium and make the first official draft pick announcement of this draft. We still anticipate it's Trevor Lawrence. Any last thoughts, guys?
No, I don't think I'm wavering on this one. I'm pretty confident this one's Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, we all expect that. I think I have one more fun fact about who Jacksonville is going to get, and I do remember now. Remember, Trevor Lawrence never lost a regular season game in college, hasn't lost a regular season game since high school, at the very least, if that was the case. So now
he didn't lose any games in high school. If they lose in week 1, it will be his first ever regular season loss.
Well, he experienced a lot of aspects of losing and winning during his time with during his time with Clemson. He wins and loses the college football playoff semifinal, wins against Ohio State, loses against them. In the national championship, they lose against LSU, they win against Alabama. That pretty much makes him a player that has all types of experience of knowing what it's like to play at quite the elite level. I just think this is probably what's going to make Trevor Lawrence look like the new franchise quarterback for Jacksonville, because that mindset of his gives him quite the knowledge he needs to know. So Roger Goodell is now officially coming to the podium, and let's hear what he says.
I don't even hear any boos yet.
Probably it's because it's the music in the background from the Kings of Leon.
Yeah, I'm sure as soon as he gets up to that podium. Oh, here we go.
I'm still wondering who that woman is next to him.
Probably a fan of some kind, if I had to guess.
The
Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence. What a surprise.
Yep, no doubt about that. There it is right there. Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville.
Anthony's
yeah,
TV
mine's
is a little bit delayed there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like he just finished saying Trevor Lawrence by the time Goodell announced with the first pick on your side, on your end.
Yep, they're showing Trevor Lawrence in his house right now, surrounded by his friends and family. And look at him just getting all that recognition, and Duval applauding for their new franchise quarterback.
Yeah, this man's a monster. He's gonna be oh man. Yeah. He might as well be a potential future Hall of Famer. That's how confident I am that this kid works out. The next 4 quarterbacks that they expect to go in the first round, I have no clue. I have no clue how Zach Wilson's going to work out. I have no clue how Justin Fields is going to work out. Trey Lance, Mac Jones, but Trevor Lawrence almost seems like a write-in.
I will say this. I agree, of course, obviously, in terms of the individual, yeah, he's probably going to have a great career. You're right. Trevor Lawrence is a guy where you build a football player from the ground up, quarterback from the ground up. They're probably going to play a lot like Trevor Lawrence. But again, I will just reiterate, Jacksonville is expecting a lot. Again, a lot of big changes and fast. It's not going to be that easy. Take the Bengals, for example, where they were, expecting a huge uptick from Joe Burrow and the rest of the team, and it started off good, then it got rocky. Then Joe Burrow got hurt and was missed most of the season, so you never really got to see Burrow hit that second gear in his NFL career. It was more of an extension of what he was doing in college against or with teammates who were not really on his level. So it's going to be interesting.
True.
Hopefully Lawrence has a great healthy season, full season, and we really get to see what this Urban Meyer-led NFL team is all about.
Yeah, well, Urban Meyer in his college career is a culture changer. So I want to see, and I have a feeling that he very well might change the culture over there in Jacksonville. And also, Trevor Lawrence, yes, the Jaguars are awful, but Trevor Lawrence is walking into a team. He's got some receivers to throw the ball to. I mean, he's got DJ Chark, he's got Laviska Shenault. They agreed to terms with Marvin Jones, right? Or did that fall through? Either way,
I think they did.
Jones.
They've got Colin Johnson. They've got what's his name in the running back? James Robinson, the undrafted rookie, rushed for 1,000 yards last year. They've got some good players around him. The offensive line is definitely questionable, but he's not walking into a team with no weapons.
I'll say this, much like the Jets, Jaguars also have, for the moment, another first-round pick. They hold the 25th pick, and 33rd pick a few spots later. So which is the top spot in the second round. So, you're looking at a potential, of 2-3 guys who could make an instant impact on the team. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence goes without saying, but if they get a lineman and a defenseman, with those other 2 picks, they could be fighting for a starting spot.
Yeah, definitely. And we just saw on NFL Network the Jets war room all dapping up, shaking hands, clapping, and celebrating. So it looks like the pick is in for them. We all expect it to be BYU's quarterback, Zach Wilson, correct?
Yeah, I think that goes without being questioned. I mean, if you don't take Zach Wilson, who do you go after at this point, especially this early on?
Yeah, I have no clue. I mean, I worry about Zach Wilson. I'm not sure how a guy from a market that small is going to handle New York. I mean, Sam Darnold, who was playing it basically in Los Angeles to New York is almost like a downgrade. I mean, those are 2 equally huge markets. And Sam handled New York. He handled the criticism in New York well. He didn't play well, obviously, but he handled it well. I'm not sure how Zach Wilson's gonna.
I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, it's more on the person than where they're from. Carson Wentz, when he was in Philadelphia, obviously he was doing good. Jimmy G, of course, was also pretty good quarterback. Joe Flacco, obviously, he came from Delaware, and he pretty much balled out for a long time before things kind of faltered out in the Broncos. And Ryan Fitzpatrick got a second career resurgence in Miami.
Marriages break up. This is for the 3rd time in 13 years that they are going to take the second quarterback taken in the draft. I told you how bad Jacksonville was.
Oh, that's on Zach. Yeah, Zach, you're going to have to lower your.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just.
And yeah, so with that, nice to see the Trevor Lawrence montage, and Jacksonville going crazy for.
As they should. They deserve it. After watching their team lose 15 games last year, after watching the Jacksonville Jaguars be dismantled almost as quickly as they were put together, I think they deserve a nice little Trevor Lawrence or 2.
My question for you guys is this, though. Who is Jacksonville going to take with their second pick? Do you go with an offensive lineman, or do you go with someone on the defensive side of the ball?
I would go on the defensive side of the ball because their defense is as weak as their offense. But the thing is that's the 25th pick. It's too early right now to say exactly who. The last year they drafted the cornerback. His last name is Henderson. CJ Henderson. I'm not sure how good he'll be. We'll see.
I'm going to combat that, and I'm going to argue they should get an offensive tackle, maybe an offensive lineman, just because you want someone to protect Trevor Lawrence and James Robinson as well. Those 2 rushers.
Because their defense is as weak as their offense. But the thing is,
yeah. So we see now that the Jets pick is in, and we're probably waiting to see whether or not it'll be my named twin. Any final thoughts about that, guys?
I don't know, Zach. Are you excited?
Well, I guess I could say I'm pretty excited to see who it's going to be. I think it's going to be quite fun too.
I think it's interesting that it's almost assured it is Zach Wilson because, in my opinion, I think he's the 3rd best quarterback in the draft behind Justin Fields. But even with that, we believe the Jets are going to pick Wilson over Fields. I just think it's interesting because obviously schemes play a big factor in all that, but at the same time.
All right, so here we go. Roger Goodell is coming to the podium, and let's see who he says the Jets have decided to get.
And to nobody's surprise,
I'm ready to get my jersey.
Yep, and
Zach Wilson is going to the Jets, and he's at the draft.
Of course he is.
Well, Trevor Lawrence wasn't there. He was at home, but now Zach Wilson is.
Zach Wilson, probably not. He probably hasn't been to many big cities before. Not that Cleveland is a very popular city, but I'm sure he wanted this excuse to go somewhere. And he's hype. Look at him slapping high fives with the fans as he walks down the aisle. Oh, that's a great sight. Dabbing up with Commissioner Goodell. Looks like a happy young man. And I trust Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas, the general manager of the New York Jets. He was a great scout in Baltimore. He helped build 2 championship teams in Baltimore, 12 years apart, but still, that's 2 championship teams. And then he went to Philadelphia as one of the assistants to general manager Howie Roseman, and he helped build that Super Bowl 52 championship team, the one in which Nick Foles beat Tom Brady in 2017.
You trust him more than Gettleman?
I trust him way more than Dave Gettleman. He's got a great eye for talent. He really is a good scout, and he knows how to build a culture. I mean, you saw him, getting rid of Jamal Adams, who he viewed as a distraction. He went and hired his own coach, an energetic, enthusiastic man in Robert Saleh. This is a big culture move for the Jets right here, and I trust Joe Douglas's judgment that this will be the right pick. We'll see. Of course, only time will tell. But I am going to be serious. Worry.
I am not going to lie, guys. I am not going to lie, guys. I kind of feel nearly emotional about this draft pick right here. It's just it's amazing to see how that makes him much more closer to me. And I'm going to be very determined this summer to go attend a training camp.
Yeah, he's going to be fun to watch for sure. And I think he's going to bring a lot more good eyes on the Jets organization, as you're alluding to, because again, they've easily been the laughingstock for a while, but this is finally something where you feel like, hey, this can't go wrong. And he's ideally going to be the starting quarterback unless James Morgan from FIU or Mike White, who are 2 or 3.
Yeah, there's no way James Morgan's better than
Hey, Ken,
me.
Stop joking like that. Come on, man.
I'm just saying, unless
James
they pull a
Morgan
rabbit out
was drafted he was drafted with the label of Project QB. They are not intending on playing him, especially without a preseason last year. So yeah, Zach Wilson is the day 1 starter. You hope to get a full 17 games out of him, but the thing is now.
Hang on a second. I'm just taking another look at the play that he made on one of the plays that he made on his pro day, and just reminding me about how amazing, great vision and the arm strength that he had by being able to eye his receiver very well. I mean, need to remember the receivers that Zach Wilson also has that he's going to be looking to try and work it to. I mean, do the Jets still have Jamison Crowder or something?
Yeah. No, the Jets receiving core is underrated now, but here's the issue with the Jets offense. First of all, their interior offensive line, that guard duo, doesn't belong on an NFL roster. So Alex Lewis is right now their shoe-in left guard, and Greg Van Roten is their shoe-in right guard. Neither of them belong under contract with the New York Jets. So with the 23rd pick and with the 34th overall pick, I mean, their defense is weak too, but I would not be surprised to see the Jets draft 2 interior offensive linemen with their next 2 picks just to protect their next franchise guy.
I honestly don't blame you there. I feel like, and it's bad because the Jaguars are objectively the worst team, but I think offensively, you're right. There were so many games where Darnold or Flacco, whoever was filling in QB, was just getting gotten to, by the O-line. It was getting ridiculous. And the guy Becton, I thought he played good in the second half of the season after, because he suffered an injury early on and played through it. And actually, I thought they're pretty good, playing through it in the second half for sure. But defensively, their defensive line is so much better. It's just with Quinnen Williams alone than the offensive line.
Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, Foley Fatukasi, Nathan Shepard, Carl Lawson.
I do just want to add something too, because Wilson, I think he's the most exciting passer just in the draft. He's so good at making unbalanced throws and turning nothing into something. And not that Trevor Lawrence can't do that, but Trevor Lawrence, I think his best strength is reading and breaking down defense and, firing off some bullets that receivers are going to catch. Wilson,
that is the more important intangible, though.
It's true. It's absolutely true. But on a team like the Jets, where we're just talking about how there's so many O-line problems, something Darnold couldn't do was escape pocket pressure. Well, Wilson, you're going to have the wheels to do that. It's just a matter of if he can play that consistently.
Darnold was mobile, but the thing is, and Darnold did make some really big plays escaping pressure. But the thing is with Darnold, the pressure was consistent. It was constant. It was first down, second down, and third down. And the thing is the Jets never aided him because Adam Gase refused to run the ball. So the Jets always found themselves in second and long, third and long. And when you do that, the defense pins their ears back and they come at you. They send blitz, they send 7 at you. And when you got receivers who can't separate, so it really just forces a sack or a bad throw. You know, a lot of Darnold's poor play was a residual of just the poorly constructed offense and the bad coaching. So right now, Zach Wilson is walking into a much better situation, but still the biggest fatal flaw is that interior offensive line. I look to them to address it later tonight again, and then early tomorrow. But right now, the Niners just handed in the pick. So we're going to see who it is. We assume it will be a quarterback. Nobody trades up unless they're going to draft a quarterback. No one trades up to 3 to draft, a position player. You don't give up 2 future first-round picks just to build around your quarterback. This is definitely Jimmy G's replacement right here. I expect it to be Mac Jones. Who do you guys expect it to be? I'd like it to be Justin Fields, but I think it's going to be Mac Jones.
It could be him. It could be Justin Fields. I'm not completely set. I feel like it could be Mac Jones. I know that the Patriots were trying to work on a trade to get him, but at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to fall through, especially unless there was a last-second thing.
I think the right move, getting the better player, I think, is Justin Fields. I think system-wise, the phrase has been Mac Jones, but I mean player-wise, to me, Justin Fields is the guy you want on your team after Wilson and Lawrence are off. I mean, and even arguably he's better than Wilson. We'll see, but I mean, to me, he's the guy you want if you're on a team struggling with quarterback. And it is shocking that the Niners again are possibly looking to getting the quarterback. It's not official yet, especially with Jimmy G coming back. But you're right. Maybe there's some fractured leadership that we don't know about, or a fractured relationship we don't know about between those guys, and it's going to make for a big change. And it's very interesting that they tried to deal him off already to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers.
Guys, I think somebody spoiled the number 3 overall pick, even though Roger Goodell hasn't come to the podium yet. But I just found out what it is, and here it comes. And I don't know why somebody in the world would be able to spoil it. How could I have been spoiled? But
Zach,
sources in that
hang on.
Spoil it.
It's a good thing I didn't say it yet, but here it is.
Wow. Wow.
Oh.
Yep.
Man.
That was big time.
Trey Lance.
Zach, you
right?
had
You know
the
what's
opportunity
funny?
for the scoop.
Here's the funny thing.
Really, Trey Lance. That is incredible.
The smoke screen has worked.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense. Here's why. So
Go for it.
they made the trade up with, I forget the team, but they
Dolphins.
made the trade
Miami.
they made the trade with Miami almost shortly right after Trey Lance's pro day. So remember I was watching someone talking about it, and they were like, yeah, that must be the reason why they did it. So I think they were set on Trey Lance from the beginning.
I do want to
But I mean,
I
I'm
do want
happy
to
for
point
him.
out earlier today, Vegas did have Trey Lance as the favorite at the 3rd pick at -120, with Jones after him at +110, which not a lot of people really, included, obviously gave much stock into. But you're right, that's a great point, Anthony, and that's the first of, I think, many shocks of the night. And what a pick it is.
Definitely a shock.
Well, you know what else was very amazing?
What's up?
Trey Lance apparently went through some psychological tests, and the 49ers deemed that he was the smartest quarterback in the draft. That is another reason why apparently the Niners went with Lance on that. That is that's wild.
Let's talk about his stats. He set the NCAA record a couple seasons ago for most passes without an interception for the entire season.
He didn't even have an interception in the entire 2019 season, especially not against a tough team like James Madison.
He's got great arm strength.
That same team.
He's pretty good on the play action as well.
He's great on his feet.
Yeah.
So now that Trey Lance has been picked up by San Francisco, do you think Atlanta's going to go for Mac Jones?
I think Atlanta's got to trade this pick, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them draft Matt Ryan's heir apparent right here. And if I had to draft somebody, it would be Justin Fields, because Justin Fields is mobile. Atlanta hasn't had a mobile quarterback since Michael Vick, and that's only because Matt Ryan's been there for so long. And no disrespect to Matt Ryan. I love Matt Ryan. I still think he's a good quarterback. I still think he's got some good years left in him, and they've got some good receivers for him to have a good year. But you got to start building for the future. So I don't know if you want to build around Matt Ryan or if you want to build to supplant Matt Ryan, because this team has been picking in the top 10 for a while now. This is, I believe, was this their third consecutive losing season? So yeah, they've got to start making a decision on the quarterback position.
I guess you could pretty much say that nothing has gone their way since there were 2.5 minutes left to go in the third quarter of Super Bowl 51.
No, but they did at least make the playoffs and win a playoff game the next year. So I mean, but since then, since 2018, they've just been awful. They haven't been able to stop a nosebleed on defense. They do put up a lot of good offensive statistics, but it never really seems to matter because their defense is worse than their offense is good. So, yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if they reach right here and draft Kwity Paye, just because they couldn't materialize a trade.
Kwity Paye?
Yeah, well, isn't he the best edge rusher in this draft?
I guess there is something right there. I'm sure that the Falcons really need to work on their defense as well, because I haven't really seen anything big out of it. Every year for the last few years, their defense has it's been like a shattered, broken. It's been quite fragile, like Carson Wentz.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I don't know, man. This is tough. Atlanta's the ultimate wild card. And the thing is, too.
I was going to say, first off, I want to point out, it's on ESPN and they have Jalen Phillips over Kwity Paye. But again, it's so close,
Yeah.
My argument really, to me, in this situation, you still have Matt Ryan. He's pretty good. Assuming you're going to have Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, now's the time to me where you get a Kyle Pitts or a Jamar Chase. And really, those two in particular, where you add another asset and you try to stock up those guys on offense and then use the offseason to build defensively. I think that'd get the Falcons at the very least into the playoffs.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I don't think that you add to your strengths. Remember what Dallas did last year? They already had Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup coming off 1,000-yard seasons, but they had a bad defense, a bad pass defense. And instead of drafting a defensive back, they drafted CeeDee Lamb. Look at how that came back to bite them. Look at how bad their run defense was last year.
It didn't work. But that Prescott also fell, midway or a bit early in the season. And I think
I
found it pretty. And I found it pretty amazing.
Worse in the NFL. They were the worst run defense in the NFL, and they had a chance to at least get somebody there, and instead they drafted CeeDee Lamb. So, I mean, Kyle Pitts is a possibility here, but they have Hayden Hurst, and he's a good tight end. I don't think that a tight end is in their top 10 needs right now. I think that they got to look at that 29th ranked total defense in 2020. They've got to draft somebody on the defensive side of the football right here, and they're not trading the pick. The pick is in.
Yep, so we're about to find out and see whether or not they go with Matt Ryan's heir apparent or if they decide to go with somebody who could be on defense. And what I noticed from Dallas last season is that in many of their games, they trailed early and nearly fought back. Against Atlanta, they were down very early, but then ultimately came back because of a huge onside kick that the Falcons really botched. And in Cleveland, getting off to a very hot start. They're up 38-7, and despite the Cowboys' comebacks, what sealed the deal was Odell Beckham getting that 50-yard rush.
Right. So they have a terrible rush defense. Weren't they 32nd in the NFL last year, Zach?
I know that their defense was statistically bad, and that really made that game against the Giants in the regular season finale very hard. And thank goodness Wayne Gallman was able to use his butt to his rear end to pick up that ball. And it was all getting rainy and all. I mean, it was just that intense. I expect a lot more fun between these two teams next year. The Giants are lucky they finally got that win against Dallas for the first time since 2016, especially when they were able to do it against when they held on to a lead this time.
Yeah, and ditto with the Eagles. They hadn't beaten the Eagles since 2016.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, their losing streak was longer against the Eagles, I think, by one game. So,
yep. So here comes Roger Goodell now, and he's about to announce who the Atlanta Falcons are going to get.
I hope it's not Kyle Pitts. I want Kyle Pitts.
No,
to
Pitts is too early. He is way too early, Mike. Don't worry. Pitts will not be ready yet. Pitts is not going to be chosen yet.
Might be. Wow. Look at that. Famous
they
last
chose
words,
him.
Zach. Famous last words.
I am going to be.
Well,
I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I understand that, but again, you gotta understand he's more than a tight end. Okay, he's gonna build. He's gonna. I think he has potential, realistically, to evolve to be that George Kittle type, that Travis.
Falcons just made history. Kyle Pitts is the highest drafted tight end of all time. No tight end.
You gotta remember too, right? They probably weren't targeting anybody specific, so they went with the best player available, and the best player available at that point was Kyle Pitts. So it makes sense. And at the end of the day, right? Exactly. But at the end of the day, like the Falcons need all the help they can get, and adding another weapon for Matt Ryan definitely helps.
That's Terry's point.
That's true. It's just that Go ahead, Ken.
I was gonna say they're not ready to move on offensively, so they're gonna try to stack on up, and Pitts is gonna help because of his speed, because he has great catching ability. Again, it's gonna cause a problem defensively. Only adds to the offense, and again, maybe they try to trade up and try to sneak into the first round somewhere. It doesn't look like it, but I mean, Baltimore's at 31, Tennessee's at 30. They're not really. Nothing really big there going on for them. Baltimore has 2 picks in 27 and 30. Maybe they get a good deal and try to trade with them to sneak into that 30th pick and get a top defensive player.
Whoever had bets on the top 5 picks of the draft being used for quarterbacks, they are banging their heads on the wall right now, and I don't blame them at all.
Mm-hmm. Well,
however, Cincinnati's number 5 now, and they're on the clock, but I did not expect them at all to go for a quarterback, because why go for somebody behind Joe Burrow when you just got him?
Yeah, obviously they're not going to go with a quarterback here.
Here's something big. Do you think that the Bengals are going to reunite Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase?
That's a good question. I think that they got to worry more about protecting Joe Burrow than they do building for him to throw to, getting him guys to throw to. I think you got to draft Penei Sewell right here.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that.
I mean, he was the most sacked quarterback and most hit quarterback in the NFL while he was playing last year. Then he suffered a devastating knee injury. So you can't be having that, that cannot happen. If you want him to be your franchise quarterback, you got to keep him upright. They do have Jonah Williams at the left tackle position. That's really their only good player on the offensive line. Right now, Penei Sewell, he has been everybody's most popular offensive lineman. I think you got to draft Penei Sewell. I don't know how you pass on him.
Got a good point right there.
Jamar Chase is good, but
I
think you got to get Sewell.
And Chase decided to go for that opt-out this past season, and I got a feeling that.
But so did Penei Sewell.
Yeah, Sewell also did the same thing, but yeah, you do make that convincing argument of how it's all about Burrow that needs that protection.
I'm gonna sound like a fanboy, but I don't care. I want to see Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow reunited. And looking at the numbers,
is saying
Jamar Chase is him and Devontae Smith are 1 and 2. In those separation skills, in that catching ability, that big play ability. I mean, he broke the SEC single season record in terms of touchdowns and receiving yards at 1780 last season. I mean, he's just so good and so fun to watch. Selfishly, I do want to see those 2 reunited, but I think you're right that they should probably look more towards an alignment. But at the same time, I mean, those 2 reunited, adding on to the young studs the Bengals got in the receiving core, could make them a very dangerous offense. Yeah,
but Ken, I do want to point out, as you said, they do have a couple of young studs in that receiving core. I like Tyler Boyd and I love T. Higgins. And I also like the tall guy, Auden Tate. That he has a couple of decent receivers to throw to, but he's got barely any offensive lineman. I mean, his offensive line is basically as effective as traffic cones or police tape. It's not stopping anybody. So you got to get him an offensive lineman here. I expect it to be Penei Sewell, but don't be surprised if it's somebody like Rashawn Slater. I don't be surprised if it's an interior offensive lineman here either, because that interior offensive line is leaky, to put it
I would
lightly.
say, well, looking
Yeah,
at the
definitely.
millions of
Let me
tackles
ask the question real
available.
quick, guys. Right?
Go ahead.
Are there any particular offensive linemen that you can't pick up later in the draft? Because there's not a lot of offensive
Yes.
linemen that get drafted really high.
Well, no,
Well,
this is a
sir?
very good draft for both guards and it's not a great draft for tackles, but it's a very good draft for guards. However, Penei Sewell is a tackle, and they're considering this kid one of the best tackles that we've seen in a long time. So
That's when
Penei
going
Sewell
tackle.
will probably go in the top 10. I think he's going right here. And then after that, the next tackle to go will probably come outside the top 10. But
Yeah, because unless he has the kind of impact that like Quentin Nelson had with the Colts, I don't really see the need to draft an offensive lineman this high.
Yeah, that'd be Penei.
But if he's that
and
kind of
maybe
talent, then
Elijah Vera
go
Tucker.
for
I think
it.
those two are equal to that.
yeah, I would
Maybe
look at
Wyatt
Elijah
Davis.
Vera Tucker at 11, maybe because the Giants could use some help on that O line. That's really their biggest weakness. That and edge rusher.
Well, we're really going to observe and see what the Giants do. As the Cincinnati Bengals draft pick is officially in. We do have our speculations. It could be a wide receiver. It could be an offensive lineman, Sewell or Chase. It could be one of those, but I guess we're going to wait and see what at this point we're going to see somebody join. Whatever it is, our hopeful verdict is that Joe Burrow is going to get another weapon on the offense. That's the only thing. That's apparently what we're all agreeing on because a wide receiver and an offensive lineman both play on offense. So will Joe Burrow get some help?
Thank you, Zach. Yes, absolutely. I guess we do have time to talk about this. I want to talk a little bit more about Kyle Pitts. And, you guys mentioned that it was just best pick of, best player available, and the Falcons need all the help they can get. But the thing is I don't think that they're as bad as we make them seem. I mean, that offense has firepower. Matt Ryan can still sling it. Julio and Calvin Ridley are an elite duo. I don't think that they need all the help they can get on offense. They've got some young offensive linemen too. They drafted 2 in the first round in 2019, Caleb McCary and Chris Lindstrom. I really don't think that drafting Kyle Pitts was the right move. I think he'll be a good player. I think that Kyle Pitts has the potential to be the best tight end in the NFL.
Okay, I gotta stop watching Twitter for a bit because I just got spoiled again.
Zach, spoil it then.
I am not
forever to spoil it this time.
Don't spoil it.
No, sorry guys. I am not going to spoil. Especially, I'm not going to spoil everybody else either. But I will say this is exactly what we both thought of. It is going to be an offense. It's going to be somebody on offense.
Okay, well, you were about to say offensive lineman. You were in the middle of a Freudian slip. It's definitely Penei Sewell. I'm just trying to psychologically dissect you now. I don't know.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait and see what happens, shall we?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Never underestimate the Bengals' ability to get a pick wrong.
That is very true.
Here we go. All right.
I don't know how somebody's able to spoil this.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it either. I mean, even last year, I remember, like, my friend.
Well, you guys got to remember, their TV is so much more ahead of ours. So their TV is even ahead of the draft.
Is that what it is? Is it just a broadcasting issue, or is it that they've got a mole?
I don't see how it's a broadcast. I don't know. It could be a mole
reporter that's sitting in.
It's probably what's happening is probably they have sources in the war room.
All right, so here's
not even that. It's probably because of sources in the war room. Like, they probably have those connections in the war room, so it makes sense.
Oh,
Cam predicted it.
Burrow and Chase are reunited.
Nice.
See, I like Jamar Chase, and I think he's going to work out, but in a similar way with Atlanta, I don't think this is the help that they needed. I don't think that passing on Penei Sewell is a good pick. And now Miami's on the clock, and I think Penei Sewell is guaranteed to go here. Miami has an atrocious offensive line. They spent a lot of high picks on offensive linemen last year, including a first-round pick at left tackle with Austin Jackson.
So you think they're going to go for Sewell?
I think they're going to go for Sewell right here. And if they don't, I would expect maybe Rashawn Slater. This is definitely going to be an offensive lineman. Their interior offensive line's pretty weak. The right tackle, they drafted a right tackle in like the 3rd round last year. Was it? I don't even know.
Mike, I almost forgot about this, but there's actually another familiar weapon for Joe Burrow in Cincinnati.
And who would that be?
It's Thaddeus Moss.
They got Thaddeus Moss. I thought he was in Washington, isn't he?
Well, he was, but apparently it looks like he got released, and then he was signed by the Bengals.
Okay,
how about that? You may as well make it now the LSU Bengals.
Yeah, Thaddeus Moss didn't play in his rookie year. He was on injured reserve. He got hurt before the season began. I was surprised that he went undrafted last year, and I'm excited to see him play. And I'm glad that he's with Joe Burrow now. So, Joe Burrow played well last year, averaged about 270 yards per game. He was really playing at an impressive rate, even though the Bengals were losing, didn't have a lot of touchdown passes, but he was playing well. I'm excited to see him take that jump in year 2, but they're going to have to protect him. They're going to have to find some offensive linemen later in the draft. And I guess their thinking was there's a lot of good linemen that we can get later, but Jamar Chase is not going to be available later. So exactly. I guess that was their thinking.
Realistically, their interior offense needs way more help than the outside. Not that, he can't, Sewell can't be either or, he's that talented where he's probably going to be flexible as a hybrid, a hybrid lineman. But
we did see Laramie Tunsil do that.
Yeah,
Laramie Tunsil played left guard.
Although it is, again, it's not easy. It's not easy to do in the pros. Many have tried. So many talented, especially in college, so many talented hybrids have tried and been unable to do so. Exactly.
So I have a question now. Because of Jamar Chase being drafted now and returning to Joe Burrow, what do you think this is going to do to T. Higgins?
Nothing. I think that T. Higgins will feed off of this. I don't think it's going to take away from him. I think that the Bengals are just going to have more weapons to spread it around. I don't think that this negatively affects anybody.
So now you have at least four.
The good news is T. Higgins is a slot, so he'll stay in the slot, and then
T. Higgins isn't the slot receiver. T. Higgins is 6'3", big and physical. He's out there on the. He can line up in the slot, but he's out on the perimeter.
That's more my point. Now that you're bringing in, Chase.
Yeah, because Jamar Chase really is now the best slot receiver on the team. Tyler Boyd used to line up in the slot when they had Brendan LaFell and AJ Green on the outside, but Tyler Boyd's big and tall too, and he's a good route runner. You want him on the outside. So I have a feeling Jamar Chase being the shortest of them all, he'll probably line up on the inside. And then Auden Tate, Zach, I know you were saying that there's 4 guys. Auden Tate is a good backup. He's a good 4th receiver, but he's not a great receiver. So you don't worry about taking away from Auden Tate's production. So
they didn't have a chance to think about Auden Tate either. You get the weapons now, and like you said, Mike, they need to focus on protection for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and nothing but protect. They're going to have a horrible defense anyway. You might as well commit to that. They don't have enough money in draft picks to fix the defense. So at this point, draft nothing but linemen for the rest of the night. Obviously not literally nothing but linemen, but
do they have any star defensive players still that can create a leadership? Is Geno Atkins still there, or is he not anymore?
No, he was there, but did they release him or trade him? Because he had a big. They did bring in Trey Hendrickson. They lost Carl Lawson.
Geno Atkins is a free agent for now, so
yeah. And then they have a good free safety in Jesse Bates, but they don't really. And they got a good young linebacker who I like, Logan Wilson, but I don't really think that they have enough talent there. So, and the Dolphins.
Apple? Huh?
I like Jamar Chase. I really do. I think that when Burrow and Chase reestablished their connection at Paul Brown Stadium, it's just going to be like old times. I don't know if this is going to. It's obviously not going to be the same as it was in college, but having their offense look big. They could look like the 2015 New York Giants. All offense, no defense.
Yeah, and that Giants team blew 5 fourth quarter leads. They were 6-10, could have been 11-5. One of those leads was to the Jets.
A few years ago, I did my own little assumption about what would have happened if the Giants had not blown those leads. I would have had them winning the NFC East, of course. I don't know what would have happened with them with the wild card, but I know that would have changed a lot of things. I would have changed it up with Cincinnati playing against Carolina in Super Bowl 50. I think would have been
crazy, Zach.
That's the domino effect that I would have put up because
New England Zach, was they were down to AJ McCarron. Don't you remember that? Andy Dalton broke his hand, and AJ McCarron was playing by that point.
But there was speculation that the Cincinnati Bengals could have had Andy Dalton back in the playoffs, and my prediction about that is because the Patriots would have had one less loss. The Bengals, no matter what, would have overtaken them for the 2 seed. And I'll just stop for a second because the Dolphins had their pick.
6 picks. 6 first-round picks next 3 years.
Wow! Wow!
Now another reunion. It's another reunion. Jalen Waddle, are you kidding me?
That's crazy. Wow. So they're just not okay. So what they're doing is because they drafted, I think it was 3 total linemen last year in the first 4 rounds. They had Solomon Kinley at right guard. They had a Robert Hunt at right tackle, and then they had Austin Jackson at left tackle. I guess they're going to try to let them gel and see what they have in those guys before giving up on them. But again, deep guard draft, so they probably valued Jalen Waddle as irreplaceable, but the other guards as expendable. That's a shocker. That's a shocker to me. But yeah,
I am surprised that Waddle was drafted before Devontae Smith.
I am too. But at the same time, with all the criticism Devontae Smith is getting because of his weight, you can't be surprised. I mean, I think it's unfair, but you can't be surprised.
It is stupid criticism, absolutely. Because I mean, again, look at Marquise Brown. He was a guy who was about the same build and actually not as explosive as Chase is, and look at him now. He's balling
like 4
hard.
inches shorter. Yeah, he's 5'9".
He's shorter too.
Waddle can definitely
and not
stretch
nearly
the field.
The route runner. Nearly as good a route runner as Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is perhaps the most intangibly talented receiver in this draft, but he's 100.
I think so.
But he weighs as much as I do, so it's it's not that's not sustainable.
Even so, what a fun receiving brand for the Dolphins. Let's talk about that. You have Devontae Parker, your Will Fuller coming in from Houston. Yes, he was having a good year until he got busted for PEDs. Lynn Bolden Jr., Preston Williams as well. Like even Isaiah
they're
Ford
getting Alan Hearns back, aren't they? Alan Hearns opted out last year, and they're getting him back. And now Albert Wilson opted out last year, but did they cut him or are they getting him back too?
I don't see Wilson. I think he's going.
Okay, but Alan Hearns is coming back, correct?
So I want to go back to what I said about my
tight end, Mike Gesicki.
I want to go back to what I said about Super Bowl 50.
Okay.
Like Cincinnati, entering the playoffs, Cincinnati and New England were 12-4, and my prediction of what would have happened if the Giants had won the games that they blown their leads for real, Bengals would have been the 2 seed. They would have had that bye into the divisional round. They would have been the ones to host whatchamacallit. They would have been the ones to host the Chiefs. There could have been speculation about Andy Dalton coming back by that time, and that's what I'm presuming if that happened. And the
Mahomes goes in that.
Actually, the Chiefs were supposed to play them. You know what? I don't even remember how I.
That's okay.
Everything.
Zach, it's all right. Don't rack your brain.
I'm not going to rack it up anymore.
I don't like doing that whole.
Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to focus on that anymore.
Yeah, the whole Bizarro world.
We are in Bizarro world. Did you not just see Jaden Waddle get picked?
Yeah, I know.
And the Detroit Lions have just gotten their pick in.
Revisionist history, Bizarro world.
Now what I'm dreading is somebody being
revisionist history.
Now what I'm dreading is Devontae Smith being drafted by anybody before the Giants have a chance.
I don't think. I mean, I would love Devontae Smith for the Giants, but the Giants right now got Kenny Galladay, Darius Slayton, and Sterling Shepard, and then Saquon coming back. And I mean, technically, you could consider Evan Engram a good player. I don't, but
I mean, Kyle Pitts could have been better than Evan Engram, but we'll never know now.
I think you got to draft an offensive
Evan
line.
Engram to you, mister.
Detroit Lions need to change things up. They don't have Galladay anymore.
Who's that, Anthony?
No, the Giants have Galladay.
No, you know what's funny? I think a good pick for Devontae Smith would be the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah,
because you just got Sam Darnold. You have Christian McCaffrey. Now you kind of need that number 1 receiver. Right?
Nah,
Devontae Smith can be that guy for you.
Robbie Anderson and
DJ Moore
both
too.
went over 1,000.
I
They
mean,
both went
yeah,
over 1,000
but
yards.
why not get a third, number one caliber type receiver and kind of build that offense the way it needs to be.
They did lose Curtis Samuel in the offseason.
True.
He went to Washington. Right now, the Panthers' interior offensive line, they're a bit concerning, and they're picking 8th, so it's less questionable for them to draft a lineman. You know what? Man? The Lions pick is in. If this isn't Penei Sewell, don't be surprised if Carolina gets giddy because he fell that far and they draft him. Because right now, the Panthers' tackle situation, Taylor Moton at right tackle is excellent, but at left tackle, Greg Little, he's been horrible and he's been unreliable. He's barely been playing. And you got to get Donald some protection. You don't want
to get Penei Sewell
in Carolina too.
Somebody's got to get Penei Sewell too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, people would still be expecting Sewell to be drafted before it's Smith or anybody else for that matter. Yeah. Yes, you talk about Slater as well. I mean, I don't know if I really see Slater at all going to the Giants if they decide to try and bulk up again with the offensive line. They tried that last year with Andrew Thomas, and I didn't really think it did anything.
Well, that was because Andrew Thomas was the most mechanically and fundamentally raw of the top 4 tackles, yet the Giants drafted him before everyone else. It was a questionable move at the time.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of this.
That's because Dave Gettleman doesn't think with his head. He thinks with his eyes. A lot of people did have Andrew Thomas as the most talented. Oh, hold on. Dan Campbell and the Lions are going crazy right now. I want to see who they draft.
Well, Dan Campbell always goes crazy.
Yeah, that's true. He's
gonna bring in. He's gonna bring in a heck of a character. He's gonna bring in a heck of a vibe for Detroit.
Yeah. Did you guys see
a huge 180 from Patricia?
Why are they going crazy here? What is Detroit up to? This is not Cleveland. I mean,
this
is not
Zach.
Detroit. This is
Go
Cleveland.
on Twitter and spoil it for us.
I am not going on Twitter this time. Sorry, guys. I am going to be just as patient as every other fan watching it on TV.
Now, being that the pick is in, Carolina's on the clock. I want to point something out. Pro Football Focus, who likes to be, they like doing the contrarian stuff. They like being Mr. Unpopular Opinion. They've been talking about how.
Hold it right there, Mike. They got Sewell.
Okay, good for them. That's a great pick. That is a great pick by the Detroit Lions. Finally, they did something right. I love that pick. They pair him up with Taylor Decker at the offensive tackle position. That is a really good tackle duo. They got to protect
Jared Goff's going to be happy.
Yeah, they got to protect Jared Goff. And they got to get Jared Goff guys to throw to. But regardless, at least now he can maybe stand upright. Their interior line, they have a great center in Frank Bragg now. The guard position is a little scary too. But they do have a really good pair of tackles now. So good for the Detroit Lions. But anyway, as I was saying, Pro Football Focus loves doing that contrarian, Mr. Unpopular Opinion type stuff. They've been talking about maybe Carolina should also draft a quarterback. They're talking about how it doesn't matter.
I was just thinking that one too.
Yeah, I don't agree with that move. But I mean, what do I know? So we'll see.
I don't know.
It's been full of surprises.
Yeah, Carolina, they do have Sam Darnold. You don't still think they're going to get Devontae Smith because I don't know if I see Denver doing that. I obviously don't see Dallas doing that. They already have a lot of weapons. This is just going to create that opportunity for the Giants, which I am still loving. I think that Carolina may be the last true threat to the Giants getting Devontae Smith.
Well, Mac Jones is still on the board.
Yeah, Mac Jones is always out there.
Justin Fields waiting to get picked up.
I have a feeling the reigning Heisman Trophy winner is going to go number 12 overall. Philadelphia, if they could get Devontae Smith, that would be marvelous on their part. That would just be beautiful because they do not have a single talented receiver on that roster. I mean, they don't have a single draft room.
That's just look at the Lions draft room. They're all so fired up. Maybe that's why the Detroit fans in Cleveland were all fired up too. That would make some sense.
I mean, they got the best offensive lineman in the draft at 7th when some people a couple months ago were saying he might go number 2 to the Jets. So, that's a great value pick for the Detroit Lions. I'm happy for them. Carolina is letting the clock tick down. I wonder if maybe they're trying to trade the pick because they have traded a lot of draft picks. They gave up a couple to the Jets. Well, those are mostly for next year, though. But still, they did give up a handful of draft picks. I wonder if maybe they're trying to accumulate some more.
And history has just been made again. History has just been made again. With the Lions picking an offensive lineman, this makes this year's draft the first in league history to ever begin with 7 straight selections offensively.
I believe it.
I mean, well, Carolina, I get that whole thing. I mean, like I didn't really see any defensive players getting that drafted high ahead of those players we just saw get drafted.
And it kind of goes to show too how talented Penny Sewell is. I mean, he opted out of last season, the first season. He was so good in 2019 as a unanimous first-team All-American. So many trophies he won, so many accolades. I mean, this dude is scary good.
Okay, but I do want to talk about this. So this is really not a strong defensive draft at all. It's weak on the edge. There are some good corners, not a lot of good safeties, and the linebacking position is So Carolina's defense was not particularly good last year, and they didn't exactly acquire anyone in free agency. Now, what do you do here? You got Taylor Moton at right tackle and Matt Paradis at center, but you got 3 other question marks on that offensive line. Do you go with Rashawn Slater or Elijah Vera Tucker, or do you go on defense and draft someone like Micah Parsons? I don't know, but we'll see. This could be Caleb Farley at the cornerback position. This could be J.C. Horn at the cornerback position. The only real defensive player that I remember them signing was Hassan Reddick, who had 12 sacks last year in Arizona. So we'll see. But the pick is in, so let's find out.
Yep, it sure is.
Maybe this is Justin Fields. This could be anybody.
Yeah, you got that right.
It just can't be Kyle Pitts like how I hoped it would be. I was hoping they'd get Sam and a tight end.
Can you imagine it's still a good chance of the Patriots going for Mac Jones? If Mac Jones is still available for them, then I do really believe that they're going to go for him.
Well, Belichick loves Saban, and he always asks him about his play.
Why? Because they used to have that. Well, you get the idea about
they coached on the same staff in Cleveland.
And they both looked really good over the last few years with building a dynasty team. Tom Brady, when he was with New England, Saban, just making every star that comes to Alabama look like a superstar.
Well, Tom Brady wasn't from Alabama.
I'm not saying that he was from Alabama. I'm just saying that both Saban and Belichick have made championship caliber teams at their own level that they've coached.
That's pretty much the gist. It wouldn't surprise me to see Belichick draft his friend's quarterback. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you get the whole. I'm sure that continues to make their friendship look pretty enlightening. It's a good time to be. It's pretty fun to be a New York fan tonight in sports. Brooklyn Nets about to get a big win thanks to KD's awesome night.
Despite Kyrie sitting out with allegedly ankle soreness.
Well, it looks like him. I mean, the only true threat to the Nets tonight was their old teammate, Karis LeVert.
Yeah, Karis LeVert's a stud. I do miss Karis LeVert, but...
Yeah, I guess I'd miss him too. I also miss Jared Allen because he was also the focal point on the defense.
I loved Jared. I didn't know that you were a Zach. I didn't know that you were a Net fan, Zach.
Well, because of how much hype they're going in, I guess I could play with a little fire so far this season. Meanwhile, the Islanders are up 3-0 with half of the third period gone by. They're trying to get that bounce back win after they fell hard to Washington over the past week.
We said it on the show. I'm going to say it again. These 2 games with the Rangers and Isles are really going to determine who's getting knocked out, who's going to win. The last thing both these teams can afford to do is split.
Well, the Penguins would love an Islanders win tonight because that would help them get into the playoffs.
Hold that thought, Zach. Hold that
thought. Here we go.
Oh,
J.C. Horn, eh?
I like that. I like J.C. Horn. I thought he was going to fall, though.
One I didn't see.
Pass rush. Not bad.
No, he's a cornerback. He's some pass coverage right there. I love
pass coverage.
I thought J.C. Horn could potentially fall to the Jets at 23. I'm surprised that he went 8th overall, but I like that pick. I think this might be a bit of a reach. I do believe, because Carolina let the clock tick all the way down, I believe Carolina was trying to trade back so that way they could get some more picks and draft him later. Obviously, a trade could not be materialized, so they just decided to reach for him. But yeah, I like this pick. I like this pick a lot. I
find it quite interesting because I almost realized that there is a lot that that the Panthers do need to work on defense as well for Matt Rule's second season.
And I'm not shocked you said, you're shocked he was intern. He was a inside player because he's a great corner, obviously. He's only had 2 career interceptions in college, but he's so great at pass deflection and even better at tackling. So even though he only has 2 picks, he still only allowed a completion percentage of 30% last year.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, top the SEC. So this dude's insanely good at knocking down the ball from receivers. I'm shocked, actually, he was picked this high up because I'm looking at ESPN's draft rankings. They have him listed as a top 15 player, but not a top 10. So, in that sense, I would have definitely expected them to try to get someone like Rashawn Slater,
Yeah, Slater. Yes. Do you think the Broncos are going to be looking for him? Because now there's 2 picks left before the Giants make their move. 5.5 minutes left.
Broncos are going. Yeah, Broncos are an interesting case, huh? Because they traded for Teddy Bridgewater. No one really knows where Drew Lock stands in this. Who's to say they don't get Mac Jones or Justin Fields? Or if they go defensively, try to follow what Carolina just did and try to pick up Patrick Surtain or Kwity Paye.
Well, I don't think Kwity Paye is the right pick here. I mean, with Bradley Chubb and Von Miller and DeMarcus Walker and Malik last name. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name, but they've got a couple of good presences off the edge. So I think that Kwity Paye would be the wrong pick here just because they've got other problems for sure. I doubt this is going to be a quarterback. I would be happy for Justin Fields if he went here.
Well, that could be hard because of Bridgewater in Denver now. I mean, we could have expected Fields to be drafted before by Carolina, but I want to also take one quick discussion to talk about who you guys think would be going for, who the Cowboys would be going for.
The Cowboys? Well, what about the Giants? I mean, we're going to skip over the Giants?
Well, the Cowboys are before the Giants, so
yes, they are.
What I want to work on.
Sorry. Yeah. Cowboys. Well, again, the Cowboys need some help on that interior defensive line. And they had a bad free agency. They did not upgrade their team at all. Not by any stretch of the human imagination are the Dallas Cowboys a better team today than they were last year. So if this pick is not somewhere on the defensive line, I mean, they don't have much of an edge presence. Kwity Paye makes sense here. It could be Patrick Surtain. It could be Caleb Farley. It could be probably not Micah Parsons because they have Leighton Vander Esch and they're paying Jalen Smith a lot of money in the linebacking core. But
yeah, I guess that would make some sense. I mean,
this is undoubtedly a defensive player. If it's not a defensive player, right in the Cowboys for 6-10 again. They're going to score a lot of points, put up a lot of yards. And they're going to allow a lot of points, and they're going to allow a lot of yards, and they're going to lose more games than they're going to win. It's going to be more or less the same thing. Oh, yeah, you can't write them in for 6-10 because it's a 17-game season. Okay, write them in for 7-10.
I guess you could say that, and I guess I can be a little confident in the fact that nobody's going to be going for Devontae Smith before the Giants have a chance because we talked about before the Broncos already have a lot of lethal weapons that they can utilize if they want to. Like you said, Cortland Sutton. You get Jerry Jeudy, you get KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, Noah Fant,
Melvin Gordon.
I think this is going to make Giants fans who want them to draft Devontae Smith feel better, especially because the Cowboys got their weapons too. They still got that 3-headed monster in the receiving core, Amari Cooper with CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. So I don't think the Giants need to get I don't think those fans need to get worried. I'm not worried too.
I'm not entirely sure that the Giants need Devontae Smith more than they do Elijah Vera-Tucker or Rashawn Slater. Again, I know I've been saying those names every single pick that comes up, but
getting an offensive lineman, I told you that getting an offensive lineman last year didn't work for the Giants. I mean, at this point,
but if it doesn't work, then you gotta make it work. You gotta get somebody who will work. And their interior offensive line, I mean, Will Hernandez regressed at left guard. They lost Kevin Zeitler, the right guard. Their center's awful. They haven't had a good center in my lifetime. Nate Soldier
didn't even play last year, and everybody questions his abilities too.
Yeah, and isn't he retiring though? Aren't they expecting him to retire?
I don't actually know that. Really.
Yeah, that's the rumor. Yeah.
That report came out at the beginning of free agency that they were expecting him to retire.
The Giants center
Jones
one is Nick Gates.
And as Mac Jones just continues to sit on his seat waiting to see what he does.
Nick Gates is not a good center. Will Hernandez I like, but I'm not sure because Will Hernandez.
There was another center for the Giants that I liked, but I was very surprised that the Giants let go. I mean, I don't remember who that was, but I remember whoever that other center was for the Giants I knew was going to be better than Nick Gates, and that just really took me by surprise.
John Halapio?
I think that was him, yeah. John Halapio.
Yeah, well, he ended up being like on Denver's practice squad last year. And Denver has 37 seconds to make the pick. They're obviously trying to trade the pick. Justin Fields is sitting on the front of his couch. Mac Jones is leaning back. Oh, okay, the pick is in.
All right, so we'll see who Denver got.
I don't think this is going to be a quarterback.
Well, you know that Von Miller is coming back for the Broncos after he was out last year due to an injury. So there's probably going to need somebody to back him up or something like that. What I'm looking at on the NFL websites for the Broncos, their needs is along with a quarterback. So they could go for Fields or Mac Jones. They could also be going for an offensive lineman. They might need to go for a linebacker. They could also go for a defensive lineman or a running back.
Sounds like everything. I don't
even know what running back they could do. I mean, like, I don't see them going for Etienne or Harris.
The Broncos are not that far away. Don't listen to NFL.com like that. The Broncos are not that far away. They had too many injuries last year. Too many. And they had that whole quarterback room.
You had no idea how serious of an injury bug it was last year to start the season. Saquon Barkley, Nick Bosa, Cortland Sutton. Who I think it was always somebody else in Minnesota.
Just on the Broncos alone, Drew Lock got hurt in week 2. Cortland Sutton tore his ACL.
Von Miller got hurt like the week of week 1.
Von Miller, didn't Von Miller like break his ankle or tear ankle ligaments in week 1? They were without AJ Boye got hurt. They were without most of their top players last year. Okay, I don't think this is a team that needs that many players like on the defensive line at the linebacker position. I think this is a team that needs an interior offensive lineman.
Could be Slater. So right here's Goodell.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see what the Broncos go for.
Okay, cornerback. Okay.
Patrick Surtain, eh?
Okay.
I was going to expect Dallas to get him, but the Broncos beat them to it.
Well, so Caleb
That's not bad,
Farley,
actually. You make the defense that much better.
Caleb Farley falls to the Cowboys now. So let's see what they do.
Patrick Surtain, though, I think it's a good pickup either way. You're right; those three are so good. You know, really, ideally, all three of those guys could be the number 1 cornerback in college on any given day. I think Horn stepped up with how good he was. But Surtain really wasn't any much worse. You know, he played a lot of press stuff. Okay, so he's got to be in a system where he's going to play a lot of press. Okay, that was about 40% of his coverage. But still, he had 23 pass breakups. He had 4 interceptions, which is twice the amount of Horn. Over his past 3 seasons, he's the guy where he's gonna get you the play. He's gonna be the playmaker. He's gonna limit the impact of the opposing receivers just as good as a Horn will. So
he'll be steady for the Broncos. They're gonna have some surety now in that secondary, which is good for them, especially with they do have a couple of good safeties. With Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons.
That left side of the field is going to be loaded.
So now it's Dallas's turn, and we're going to see who they're going to go for.
Yeah. And by the way, it should be mentioned too, Patrick Surtain is an excellent tackler. And he's big. He's 6'2". So I mean, he's really overall like a really good player. He's fast. He's got good ball skills. This was a really good pick by the Broncos. It wasn't one that I saw coming. I thought they would go offense here, but I like this pick for them.
I'm sure that there are many Cowboys fans who are disappointed with how Denver just beat Jerry Jones to the punch by picking up Surtain.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be another question because I am not now any certain at all about who Dallas could go for.
Well, I mean, again, So Caleb Farley could be that guy. He's the best remaining corner. I'm really shocked that J.C. Horn went number 8. Wow, geez.
There's still
I
nothing
thought
for
he was
Justin.
a stud, but I didn't think he was going to go number 8.
Well, here's another thing. Like, we know what happened with Dak Prescott last year and his injury. Do you think that the Cowboys should think about picking up a backup?
No, you don't. Zach,
you
they
like,
just gave him.
You don't want to go through the Ben DiNucci disaster again.
Yeah, but
no more
Zach,
Andy Dalton.
Zach, you don't draft a backup quarterback in the first round, and they just gave Dak 4 years, $160 million. Okay, they're committed to Dak Prescott till the day they die.
Okay,
people last year said they weren't going to draft a quarterback for the Packers, yet they ended up drafting one for Aaron Rodgers for some reason.
Yes, but Aaron Rodgers was 35. It was a little more understandable. Dak Prescott, I think, is how old is he now? 26, 27?
Well, now Aaron Rodgers hates Green Bay and doesn't want to play for them. So
yeah.
He's entering his 6th season in the NFL since he was drafted in 2016 from Mississippi State. He came in for an injured Tony Romo, and then it turned out to be a huge thing, even though they lost as the top seed in the divisional round to Green Bay. That was the Packers' revenge, of course, but really it's going to be quite the roller coaster. I can't wait to see who Dallas gets. So I guess you do have that point
something to think about, all right? We were talking defensively. Cowboys should probably get defensemen, but they've been so iconic with tight ends, especially with Jason Witten. Now he's not there anymore. You know, what if, hypothetically, Kyle Pitts isn't there, they try to go for another tight end on the board?
No,
I don't see any other tight ends who could make any noise.
Or a Trey McKitty.
Anyone from this point is a reach. No other tight end is worthy of a first-round pick, and especially not at the 10th overall selection.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, here we go. The Cowboys.
Oh, we got trade alert.
Okay, the Eagles right here, I'm guaranteeing it. They're going to draft Devontae Smith. They were afraid that the Giants were going to draft him.
They're giving it to the Eagles? You got to be kidding me. No, they're not going to steal Devontae Smith. No.
I'd bet $1 million.
I hate this. I freaking hate this.
The Eagles were not content enough with just costing the Giants a potential postseason by hypothetically throwing, quote unquote, not throwing that football game against Washington last season.
Yeah, if that was
they won.
I don't know. I don't know what was.
Oh, that's just great. It's bad enough that they steal. It's bad enough that they ruin our chances of going to the playoffs by intentionally giving it to Washington, and now they could probably steal the Heisman Trophy winner from us.
I'll say this though: the Eagles definitely needed a lot more. Okay, Dallas was at least 6-10, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
5-11, 6-10. Okay, the Eagles were 4-11-1. Okay, they were so bad they drew once. All right, they were they were awful.
And even that one tie, they were totally outplayed by the Bengals in that game. They were a horrendous team.
Jalen Hurts needs all the help he could get. God bless Jalen Reagor. Travis Fulgham actually played pretty well, especially against the Giants. He really
Travis Fulgham did play well, but Jalen Reagor was really just struggled as a rookie. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, they've basically given up
Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson were really big duds because they couldn't play a full season due to injury, especially when the Giants really knocked Deshaun Jackson loose back in Week 7.
I just want to add, it's kind of funny. I'm just looking at the ESPN draft analysis. It says obviously the best available player is Devontae Smith. It says their best fit for Philadelphia is Justin Fields.
Yeah, that would be, if that happened, man. I think Eagles fans would go insane.
Who are the Giants going to get if Eagles get Devontae Smith? Because
in that case, you're the Giants. You go edge. You got to go edge.
Yeah, you could go Kwity Paye, or you could go interior O-line. One of those two.
To me, realistically, the Giants need an edge rusher more than they do receiver.
So, that Gregory Rosse guy from Miami could be
not the end of the world.
Somebody.
Greg.
I guess I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be mad about the Giants if they get Gregory Rosse or something. Maybe that could happen. I mean, I
think it's pronounced. I think it's Rousseau. I think it's
Rousseau.
A French last name.
It is really hard to pronounce it because I know it's not Rousseau or something. It's not that.
EAU is O. Rousseau.
Okay, so maybe it's Rousseau. I mean, Miami didn't have a bad season.
all they had to give up was a 3rd-round pick. The Eagles only had to
That's
give
kind of
them.
criminal. I'm not going to lie.
I don't
Someone
even
needs
know
to
how
investigate that for conspiracy.
How could that even happen? Maybe I think the only reason that's happening is because Dallas is not now dead set on who they wanted. Because if Patrick Surtain,
the Cowboys hate the Giants more than they do the Eagles, so they just don't want to see the Giants get Devontae Smith. Is that what you think?
If Surtain was still available for the Cowboys, Dallas would not have made that draft, and they would have decided to go with him instead.
110%.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah, because right now,
fact.
in that secondary in Dallas, they got Trayvon Diggs, who was
Eagles got 30 seconds. Oh, now they're got it. It looks like their pick is in. Wait, they just showed that they were on the clock, but not the pick is in yet.
Yeah, this is weird. I don't know. There you go.
Oh, yeah, the Cowboys do get the pick after the Giants.
Yeah.
They get the Eagles' first-round pick. That's what it was. So,
yeah, they only traded down 2 spots.
Okay, so maybe I'm a little less mad because now I'm less convinced that it's a conspiracy against the Big Apple, as what you thought when it was when you thought it was going to be a 3rd-round pick.
It was conspiracy.
I would wait to see who they pick.
I am now no longer convinced it's a conspiracy. I'm okay now, but I'm still mad that the Eagles couldn't get Devontae Smith from us.
Yeah, if this isn't Devontae Smith.
All help. It's going to be one big fiasco for Eagles fans because they're just going to once again unload.
I still think they're going to be horrible. I think that the Eagles are in the bottom 4 teams in the NFL. I think the New York Jets, Philadelphia Eagles, Detroit Lions, and Houston Texans. Yeah, you could order them however you want to.
I have faith in
I think
Jets.
those are the 4
I don't think they'll be
teams
bottom
in the NFL.
4.
Who? You don't think the Eagles will be bottom 4?
No, the Jets. I have faith in
the Jets.
I don't know. Bottom.
I don't know because their linebacking core doesn't even have any like real NFL players in it. I mean, CJ Mosley's coming back after missing 2 years. We don't know how well he's going to play. And then Jared Davis was a draft bust in Detroit. And those are the only 2 like NFL players really. They got Blake Cashman,
this offseason they
was
really
made of glass.
Gotta key in on that. I agree.
Well, yeah.
Okay, here comes Goodell.
Here you go.
All right, let's see who the Eagles chose.
This is going to be Micah Parsons. You watch. They traded up just.
I would be relieved that the Eagles get him. Do you think the Eagles need some help defensively?
Is that little fan over there wearing a Jeremy Maclin jersey or a Jalen Reagor?
I don't know. It has to be Reagor because Jeremy Maclin has not been in the NFL for a long time.
I know, but why would he have a Jalen Reagor jersey?
Why would they have a Maclin jersey?
Well, we
know.
know.
Okay, here it is.
They're like Eric.
Okay, hang on.
There you go. Okay.
There it is.
Good for them. Good for him, too. I hope he
proves my hatred for the Eagles grows stronger.
I hope he leads the league in touchdowns year 1, just to make everybody feel stupid.
James Bradbury, you keep your eye on him. I hate Philly.
Wow. Now the Giants are responding, having trade talks on number 11. So, according to Ian Rappaport, the Giants are looking at trading that 11th pick. So, we may see back-to-back spots where we may see trades here. You know, we got to assume Devontae Smith was the Giants' top guy in that case.
I guess so. I don't think that the Giants should really cry in their beers, though. I mean, I think that, you know, you got Kenny Golladay, Darius Slayton, and Sterling Shepard. Those are a couple of good wide receivers right there. Now, I mean, none of them I don't think are as good as Devontae Smith. Kenny Golladay might be as good as Devontae Smith, but I think Devontae Smith's a better route runner. But the Giants have, you know, bigger problems at the line of scrimmage, whether it's offensive line or it's edge rush. So
I'll say this for offensive line. Unproven, yes. I thought they looked better though at the end of the season, obviously. The entire team did, to be fair. And there's a lot of young guys, so, you know, there's hope. Not that, you know, you don't need another offensive lineman, but to have 4 of your 5 key offensive line guys be virtually rookies, it's, you know, you want that veteran presence there. Every successful team has at least one. Even the Eagles, where they have so many struggles, they got Jason Kelce locked down at the center. You know, for me, you got to find that edge rusher. And as good as Rashawn Slater is, this is where you think about trying to find a guy like Jeremiah Karamoa or Russo or someone who defensively is going to make that impact for you.
Yeah, and I mean with a guy like Kwity Paye or Greg Rousseau, they would have
Jalen Phillips
Dexter Lawrence.
Guys, hang on a second. I think I may have heard something. I don't think this is a spoiler this time. Because,
there you go. The Bears just traded up. The Bears.
My goodness.
Giants.
Why are the Giants agreeing to this?
The Bears are going to take Justin Fields. Oh, the Bears are going to take
Wow,
Justin Fields.
I think that's interesting, but
unbelievable.
What the Giants?
I don't know if they are, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, Andy Dalton is not really a starter quarterback anymore, so I wouldn't be surprised.
What a trade.
Is Nick Foles still there?
Chicago trading up from 20, taking the Giants 11.
They got to get Justin Fields or Mac Jones. Either one of them is going to be the new Bear.
You don't trade up especially this high, unless you're going to get a QB.
Okay, I need to
wait.
Now I need to figure out the details.
Officially, the trade is for pick 20, 164, a 2022 first round, and a 2022 fourth round. A heck of a haul for the Giants. And maybe for Chicago, they end up getting Justin Fields.
I mean, that's a good trade, though, because with the Giants,
trade for the Giants.
Yeah, you need all those picks, right? You don't mind.
I think I've seen it all now. David Gettleman actually trading down. Oh, my goodness.
The Giants did most of their stuff in free agency. They got Kenny Golladay. They got a bunch of other people that I can't remember off the top of my head. But they made a huge splash in free agency this year. So I think they can afford to kind of sit back and relax this year during the draft.
So apparently they are. So now they have. So they will have next year's first round pick from Chicago. I think that's what's part of it.
Well, yeah, I just said that they got.
Something tells me that the Giants. Something tells me the Giants were going to get Devontae Smith before the Eagles spoiled the fun.
I think so. That's pretty evident now.
Yeah, but
again,
at that point,
again, just for those missed it, the Giants they trade pick 11. They're going to get 20, 164, a first round and a fourth round in next year's draft.
You know what? Kudos
That's a great haul.
Yeah, kudos to Chicago. I'll give them kudos for their determination to try and build somebody who could be better than Andy Dalton. That would make that quarterback battle in Chicago look more fun.
Well, is Nick Foles still there? Do they have Nick Foles?
Nick Foles is still there. Yeah.
I don't see him good anymore.
All right, so then what's gonna? Hold on, Zach. They're probably gonna draft. They're probably gonna draft a quarterback then look to trade Nick Foles somewhere.
It looks like Justin Fields is on his seat now, and Chicago's pick is in. Something tells me we're getting a word that Fields is going to be going to Soldier Field. I mean, I don't know, but you know what? I am going to guarantee you now that Justin Fields is going to Chicago.
It's to be a fun receiving core for them. Allen Robinson for the moment, assuming he resigns. Darnell Mooney, Reggie Davis, Riley Woodley, really Darnell Mooney, Anthony Miller as well, and Javon Williams coming from last season. I mean, a lot of young guys there.
It seems like they've given up on both Javon Wims and Anthony Miller. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I have a gut feeling that the Bears are going to end up taking Mac Jones. I don't know. I think Matt Nagy's system, just the way he wants his quarterback to be, I feel like Mac Jones just fits that system so well. Yeah, and I think they already tried the mobile thing with Trubisky, so it's like, I don't know.
Well, okay, but the other way to look at that is that he had a mobile quarterback like Trubisky, so he might want another mobile quarterback, only this one with a stronger arm. That would be the other way to look at it. But yeah, I have a feeling there might be some sort of Ohio State prejudice going on with Justin Fields, so it wouldn't surprise me, Anthony.
With the 11th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Justin Fields.
There you go.
I got spoiled.
Goodness.
And I apologize to anybody else I spoiled too, but whoever is doing this on Twitter is really good at being able to get ahead of them.
I thought you weren't going to spoil anything, Zach. I thought
unfortunately, I could not resist any longer.
Oh, boy.
Especially when it used to be the Giants pick.
What a heck of a haul we've seen. That top 10, top 11, absolutely incredible. I mean,
Ohio State and Chicago aren't far apart from each other, are they?
That's true. realistically, how do you call anyone in the top 11 in this draft, especially a bust? I mean, these guys look like they're going to make an instant impact. It's insane to think that one of these guys could be this bad.
But most years, every single pick looks like that. That's why only time will tell. I mean, you don't know. All 10. Trevor Lawrence might be horrible. We don't know, So, I mean, Ryan Leaf, there was a legitimate question. Who's better, Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf? So, we can't just do that yet.
These trades are just really cooking up. So, before Gelman announces Fields, they're showing something with a draft-a-thon. This almost looks similar to what we do with our radio-a-thon at WUSB. What will open in 2022? So they're having somebody else announce it.
How exciting is this?
That's what you could say?
In the 2021 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State.
Like I said right there.
How did we know that was going to happen? It's like we have.
Hang on a second. They're showing Justin Fields' live reaction, and there it is.
At least they didn't mess up the pick. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well, they could. They still could. There's a lot of time for them to damage Justin Fields. So let's not appoint anyone superhero yet.
With the Bears, now really they got to focus on that entire offensive line. It's hard to forget this team was 8-8 last season. They have been, I think, for the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah, last year they went 8-8 as well, but they were 12-4 the year before with the league's best.
There defense. You go. Yeah.
So that trade gives the Giants an extra 5th round pick. It gives the Giants the 20th overall pick this year, an extra 5th round pick this year, and then an extra 1st and 4th round pick next year. So
the full
I think
details.
That was a better trade for the Giants, but.
I think the full
Bears
detail.
do feel. Hold on, Zach. Hold on. So if the Bears do feel as though they got their franchise quarterback, then there is no price that's too hefty to pay. Go ahead, Zach.
So it looks to me like. Hang on a second. I think I just. Yeah. So they just showed a full details for the New York Giants with their draft pick. So for giving away number 11 to Chicago, they get the Bears' 20th overall pick, which will probably be in a little while, maybe in about less than an hour. They get the 5th round pick, and they get next year's 1st round and 4th round pick from Chicago.
Yes, Zach, I just
and I said that 5 minutes ago. So
oh yeah, sorry, I must have lost train of thought right there.
You're good. No,
I'm just pretty surprised. I'm pretty surprised and pretty interested in seeing that. And I can tell from our very own James Delia that he is pretty sickened by the Giants losing their chance at getting Devontae Smith. James, if you're watching this, I'm right there with you, bro. I am really sad about how the Giants will not get that star offensive weapon, but we'll just have to deal with who we have right now, and that all starts off with Kenny Golladay.
He'll feel better. The Isles won today. He'll feel better.
Yeah, the Isles won 4-0. I am very happy about that they get that bounce back, and according to stats, Islanders win on Saturday against the Rangers again, then they're in.
Knocks them out. It knocks Rangers out, I think, right?
Pretty much. We expect definitely the top 4 teams of the East to beat Pittsburgh, Washington, the Islanders, and the Bruins.
Yes, and also the Brooklyn Nets had a big win today in Indiana against the Pacers. Kevin Durant
is all that business.
Quarterback them to a win. Dropped a double-double, had 42 points and 10 assists, and then Alize Johnson, a power forward off the bench, had a 20-20 game, 20 points, 21 rebounds.
That is,
if you remember, a couple
insane.
of weeks ago, after having a 23-point, 15-rebound debut, they gave him a multi-year contract. And then tonight he had 20 points on 7 of 12 shooting with 21 total rebounds, 17 on the defensive side of the ball.
So the Dallas Cowboys are about to get their pick in. They're 3.5 minutes away from making it so. So now that they finally got their – so it looks like they're finally going to get their chance at going for who they want. Any new ideas about who the Cowboys are going to go for?
Yeah, I still think this is going to be Caleb Farley. It wouldn't surprise me to see them take Kwity Paye or Greg Rousseau. This unquestionably is a defensive player. It doesn't matter which level of the defense. Probably not a linebacker, but but
yeah, the offensive line for Dallas can still be good. They really need to focus on their defense.
They've got to stay healthy, though.
I think it's
Tyron
interesting
Smith and Lyle
saying that.
Collins have to play.
It's always about being healthy. That's the main key.
It's interesting saying that because ESPN has the best players available. It's Rashawn Slater, and then the best fit is interior linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Oh, right. I forgot about him.
Micah Parsons is still on the board, too.
I would like
who will pick him up.
I would like to see the Jets get Micah Parsons if they could, because
there's a lot of good
guards. There's a lot of good guards the Jets can get in the second and third round, and the Jets have the 34th overall pick, which is a second round pick, and then they have 2 third-round picks because of the Jamal Adams trade. I'd like to see them maybe get like Wyatt Davis and Deontay Brown if they could, because they'll probably.
We do not expect a running back to be drafted yet, neither Travis Etienne nor Najee Harris. Dallas, definitely not Dallas because of Zeke. For the Chargers, I'm actually starting to wonder what their situation is at running back is, because it kind of looked like they used a lot during the season.
Yeah, they do have some bad running backs. I mean, Austin Eckler is a good player, but he's not a lead back. And then after that, they don't really have a service.
Yeah, Minnesota, they have Dalvin Cook. That's no problem.
They did draft
for the Chargers.
All right, well, the pick is in.
Yeah.
They're showing the defensive – I'm just watching the defensive stats from the Cowboys this past season, and they're really showing a lot. Allowed the second most rushing yards per game, allowed the third most rushing yards per carry.
Yeah, per attempt. Yeah, so, like, I mean, opponents were averaging, like, 5 yards per carry. Every time you turn around.
Dallas really can't go wrong with this pick unless it's quarterback. Like,
to
me, that's the only thing. Or a long snapper. Those are really the only 3 things where, you'd be like, what are you doing, Dallas?
Yeah, I can't really blame the Giants at all for what's going on right now in round 1, because that Devontae Smith situation was way out of their control.
They're gonna remember that first game of the season. These 2 teams face off, Giants and Eagles.
And also the Giants happen yet. We'll know in less than 2 weeks, and I'll be excited to see whether or not the Giants host the Eagles. I would love to see that.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Okay, hold on. They're not making the selection just yet. Goodell. They're not making the selection just yet, so we could still keep talking. But anyway, so the reason why that move is good for the Giants don't have a lot of money. They don't have a lot of salary cap space. So they need to be able to get young, cheap players. And now they've got more assets to go get themselves more young, cheap, homegrown players. So that way they don't have to keep paying guys like Leonard Williams. And, think about the contracts that they've given out recently that didn't work. DRC and Janoris Jenkins contracts were hurting them for a while. Damon Harrison's contract was big. And
okay, Mike, here we go.
2.5 years. Here we go. I'll shut up.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she's definitely getting the Cowboys fans riled up.
Yeah, and she's gonna get booed.
Whatever.
I wonder why.
Why
does everyone hate the Cowboys?
Here on. Oh,
Micah Parsons. Okay.
Well, you were talking just before about Jalen Smith and Leighton Van Der Esch probably just being what the Cowboys need, but they want more now.
Yeah. All right. So that middle of the defense is that middle. The linebacking core is very strong now. That's very, very strong.
You're just always going to have a very strong linebacking core, Sean Lee and all of that.
Yeah, but for a while, Sean Lee was the only good player on their defense. So I mean, him and Orlando Scandrick.
I think Parsons could make an immediate impact. I mean, this dude. I don't know if he missed a tackle when he was in college.
Yeah, he did opt out last year though.
But even then, every time I saw a Penn State game, because they were on primetime so much, it was like this dude never got juked. Anytime he got his hand on you, the play was over. He had, I think, over 100 tackles as well in 2019. I mean, so great. And 6'3", 250. He's at a great spot right now to make an impact, probably win a starting spot or a secondary spot on this Dallas team.
So the first team – so I just want to put up a side note for a second. The Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins have just gone into overtime. And that has both teams get a point, but the Capitals are the first team in the East to clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah,
and Micah Parsons just jumped into Roger Goodell's arms. I believe that Micah Parsons is the best linebacker in this draft. So
I agree with you, Mike. I really saw everything that they we're showing of Micah Parsons, and I think that really he does look very explosive, and he could really help to reinvigorate the Cowboys defense. The fire that I see him have, but the only problem is, like I said earlier before, he can be a head case sometime, and I've not any respect to Dallas fans, but I've seen the Cowboys have players that look like head cases over the last few years.
There's
Greg
a lot of
Hardy.
character issues in NFCs.
Yeah, Greg
lot of
Hardy
characters.
throwing his girlfriend on a couch with guns.
Not a good idea. That's how you get kicked out the league. Get beat up
Yeah.
in UFC.
Yeah,
So
Joseph Randall getting cut during the season because he got caught shoplifting. What else was there?
Just want to say quickly that the Chargers are now on the.
Alden Smith not playing for 5 years, and just recently after leaving them, I think he got there was a warrant out for his arrest, right?
Yep.
Not great.
Yeah. So now the Chargers are on the clock, and New England's also pretty close to getting their draft pick, and Mac Jones is still available. I think we can all agree now that that Mac Jones is going to New England because we don't see the Chargers.
He's going to be the next quarterback off the board. The question is when. It's not if, it's when.
What happened to Cam Newton? Did he agree to another 1-year deal with New England?
Yeah,
he took a 1 year.
He took a 1 year, $14 million deal. So the Patriots don't have a future quarterback, and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Looks like Mac Jones is about to be a future quarterback.
There have been rumors about Jimmy Garoppolo maybe being traded back to New England, but I don't see that happening. I don't see the Patriots paying that much money for 2 quarterbacks. I think that San Francisco is better off having a quarterback battle between the two of them.
I mean, the only way that the Jimmy G trade could still happen is if San Francisco gets the 15th overall pick from New England and the Patriots get Jimmy G from him.
Yeah, but Jimmy G's not worth the first-round pick.
No, he's not. I think at this rate, we're just going to continue to focus on what we believe at this point, which is Mac Jones heading to Foxborough to be under the guise of Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and I think that Mac Jones, I'm not confident that Mac Jones will work out in the NFL just because Mac Jones, he had a lot of weapons in college. He had a lot of NFL talent in college. I mean, and so did Tua Tagovailoa, right? That's why a lot of people were not too high on Tua because he's a small, often injured, not really strong-armed quarterback. And the only reason why he performed so well is because of the weapons he had in college. And so Mac Jones took over most of what Tua had. So it wouldn't surprise me to not see Mac Jones work out. I'm assuming if Belichick drafts him, he obviously loved what he saw. But Belichick does not have a good pedigree as a drafter, not even in the slightest bit. I mean, they're still dealing with the aftermath of drafting N'Keal Harry over AJ Brown and I can't blame them for DK Metcalf because everyone passed on him. But he could have taken AJ Brown, and instead he took N'Keal Harry, and that indirectly led to Tom Brady leaving because he had no weapons. If he had AJ Brown, I'm sure Tom Brady would have at least considered maybe staying in New England. AJ Brown, Julian Edelman, okay, that's not bad.
So another side note away from the NFL. I talked about the Capitals and the Penguins before. Jake Guentzel has just punched the Penguins. He just punched the Penguins' ticket to the playoffs after he got the overtime goal. So now the two teams representing the East in the playoffs at the very least now, Pittsburgh and Washington.
Wow.
That was quite a big battle to watch in the NHL tonight. 9 goals combined. Penguins win in overtime 5-4. You really expect that this could be the last 2 teams in the East remaining when they play each other in the playoffs. It could be round 2.
A lot of offense in the game. You're watching it in a game at NDSU with Trey Lance.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, so the Chargers just handed in their I guess what's it called? A player card. I just usually say they handed in the pick, but the pick is in, but we just went to commercial break, so we'll find out as soon as we get back who the Chargers picks. But the Chargers are an interesting team because they've got some real explosiveness in that receiving core. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and then off the bench you got Jalen Guyton and one other guy who I'm forgetting the name of, but they've got some really good deep threats. Justin Herbert had a good chemistry with all of them. had statistically the best rookie season ever for a quarterback, over 4,300 yards and 31 touchdowns. First rookie quarterback to ever throw for over 30. So you know that their first round pick is not going. It's definitely not going to be in the receiving core. They did lose Hunter Henry, the tight end, but I don't think that they're going to be reaching for a tight end here.
So
their offensive line is questionable. I wouldn't be surprised to see this maybe be,
who would be the new tight
end?
Okay, so sorry to interrupt you there, Mike, but who do you think would be the next tight end for the Chargers, the next best tight end for LA now?
Well, Jared Cook now, right?
Oh, I almost forgot Jared Cook was.
Yeah,
there.
Jared Cook signed over the offseason. It's an interesting offense. Getting Eckler and Justin Herbert coming in after his incredible rookie season.
Yeah, and Eckler also functions as a receiver too. I mean, he's a good check down guy, but he also averages around 10 yards per catch. So it's not like he's just a check down guy.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing because their speed back is Justin Jackson, and really at the end of the season it was Josh Kelly.
Yeah, you can't really count out Keenan Allen at all. You can't count out Keenan Allen.
That's true.
Part of Josh Kelly's struggles as a rookie were because of how bad their offensive linemen, their line is now. At right tackle, they've got Brian Bulaga, but after that, they don't have a single offensive lineman worthy of an NFL roster spot. Oh, wait, yes, they do. They signed Corey Linsley at the center position, didn't they? Yes, they did. So they've got a good center there in Corey Linsley and Brian Bulaga at right tackle, a pair of former Packers. But then after that, they've got holes at left tackle, left guard, and right guard. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this be an offensive lineman. Elijah Vera Tucker fits. Rashawn Slater fits.
Rashawn Slater fits.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go. I mean, 6'4", 300-pound beast, just add on to that old.
And then they've got talented players on the defense, too. An interesting stat about the Chargers.
Rashawn Slater.
They were tough. Is it Rashawn Slater? Is that, or did you just spoil the pick, or are you just saying a random name? Okay, well now he's not answering, so I think Zach just spoiled the pick. But anyway,
that's where you go, though. That's where you go. That's the most obvious, but it's not the most complicated. I mean, especially where your current tackle is Trey Pipkins. I mean, come on, Rashawn Slater.
Justin Herbert was really good this past season. I mean, it was going to be a battle between him and Joe Burrow for the offensive rookie of the year until Burrow's injury paved way for Herbert to go undisputed. Unless there's anybody else.
I want to point this out too because it's an interesting stat about the Chargers because they got talent on both sides of the roster. They've got some good players on defense too. The Chargers actually had a top 10 total offense and top 10 total defense last year in terms of total yards, but they were outside the top 20 in scoring in both statistics because there were some turnovers, there was some short field, bad red zone execution. Anthony Lynn,
terrible red zone execution. That's a heck of an understatement.
And that's the big reason why they lose so many leads. But here comes the commissioner.
Sean Slater Jr. How about that?
Okay, Zach, don't spoil the next one. You take the fun away. Even though I wanted you to spoil them earlier, now I don't like it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, he's coming in to a new system under Brandon Staley, taking the helm from Anthony Lynn. So this is a guy who, he works more outside. He's more of a defense guy. But still, at the same time, this is a time where you can really reform the offense. And now that you're gonna go in, probably having a better defense, they're able to keep up that offense. I really do see this Chargers team shocking a lot of folks, sneaking in, getting a playoff spot. It's gonna be tough, especially in AFC. But I think they got the potential.
They were 7-9 last year, but they blew several leads because of questionable play calling at the end of the game by Anthony Lynn. That's the reason why Anthony Lynn got fired. So, now that he's gone, I think that the Chargers, just to add to what you said, Ken, that's a great point. The Chargers are always, in terms of talent, they're always a playoff contender. And, this could be the year, especially with Justin Herbert now. They could make some noise as a wild card team. They're not winning at the
It does feel, again, I get PTSD now to that 2010 season where they had the best defense, best offense,
and the best offense. The worst special teams ever.
So maybe I shouldn't jump the gun and say they're going to sneak in because they proved
And that special teams was bad last year too. That special teams was really bad last year. So that was another big reason why. Losing guys like Adrian Phillips and what was his name? Drew Tranquil, who he's on the roster still, but he got hurt last year in week 1. He was all rookie as a special teamer. It's losing key special teamers like that hurt them. But the Chargers found their blindside protector for their rookie stud quarterback.
Yep,
well, he's not a rookie anymore, but they found the blindside protector, and that's a big deal. So you got a good tackle duo and a great center. This is
Northwestern's first round pick since 2005.
That's crazy. That's actually crazy because their football team wasn't awful, in between that stretch. It's gotten really good again in the last couple of years, but still, I'm stunned. I thought they would have had at least one in between that.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shocker, isn't it? But Elijah,
I guess it would be.
Rashawn Slater's a monster. I mean, he could move. For a guy his size, he ran a sub 4.940. I think he ran 4.88 or something like that. So that's,
you know what?
He can move big time.
Here's something very funny. Also, needs to know the last time a player from Northwestern was drafted in the first round of the draft, it was somebody who went to the Chargers as well. And we just it was Luis Castillo, and we just have another trade going on. The New York Jets are going for the Vikings number 14 spot.
This is going to be Elijah Vera Tucker. You watch.
You think Zach Wilson's going to get some protection? You think I'm going to get some protection?
Well, you know what? They wouldn't. I don't think they trade up for an offensive lineman. This might be Caleb Farley. Ooh, this could be anyone.
It could be a running back. They could be Etienne Harris.
Joe Douglas would not trade up for a running back. Joe Douglas is obsessed with value, and that's terrible value to trade up to 14 to get a running back.
I'm not looking at the tweet, so I'm not going to know that for myself.
Yeah, don't do it.
I won't do it. I won't do it. I will not do it. I promise.
You can do it for all the other teams. I don't care, but just too close to home.
Trade up to 14. That's crazy.
Yeah, see, I have showing it right there that Slater was the first player from Northwestern to be drafted in the first round since 2005.
I hope they didn't give up a lot. I hope they didn't give up next year's first round pick because they have 2 first round picks next year too. That's part of what makes them so valuable.
Well, I think obviously one of the details of that trade's going to be is that where the Jets were going to be originally at number 23, I think the Vikings are going to have that.
Yes.
We'll figure out the trade details in a second. I should be able to find out as the Jets pick is in.
Man, I think that this is going to be Elijah Vera Tucker right here. I know I just backtracked, but I'm going back on to that
ESPN has him listed as the best fit, so I
like it actually. I mean, if they're not going to go that bold with a running back yet, then I think that could be good.
I think
maybe they need they could use a what? I mean, do you think they could go for a receiver? Elijah Moore could be part of that.
No, because at that point they could have drafted him at 23. Zach, they would only trade up if they felt they couldn't get him where they could. But this is obviously a guy who they feel was not going to be there, and I think it's Elijah Vera Tucker. Elijah Vera Tucker, by the way, was an All-American left tackle, and he's actually a left guard. That's how talented this guy is. So expect him to slide right in, right next to Mekhi Becton. It's going to be Becton at left tackle and Vera Tucker at left guard. Zach Wilson is going to have an impeccable blindside.
Yeah, we're just going off kind of too. Just again, Elijah Vera Tucker, 6'5", he's a 310. He incredible arm length. He was ranked top 15, I think, by ESPN and PFF as well. And I mean, he's everything you want in an offensive tackle, or offensive guard, right? Well, tackle. But he can play guard as well. Yeah,
he is primarily a guard, which is why it's so impressive that he made All-American at left tackle. It's like making the MLB All-Star game in another position. It's like
you make that comparison like that. You make a comparison like that,
and it is, and really, I think behind Slater, Vera Tucker is probably the best, best guard in his draft. You would think.
Still waiting for the pick to be in for the Jets. They were just apparently we have a commercial, and they're going to be getting back to Cleveland in a second.
Here's the deal. There's no Rodgers rate. State Farm just has surprisingly great rates.
So I'm guessing there's really not too much to go on right now except for waiting for the Jets.
It'll be fun to see what the trade is coming out of that as well.
I am really anxious to wait for the details.
You kind of hope for the Jets too. You didn't give up too much. You're a Viking, and I think you'll want at least one of those two first-round draft picks from next season.
I mean, they just moved up 9 spots. I doubt that they. Oh, okay. So they gave up both of their third-round picks. I don't think that that's. I don't think that
both of their third-round picks.
Yeah, they gave up both. I mean, okay, so they swapped first-round picks, obviously, and then in return, the Jets gave up both of their third-round picks. I don't think that that's a great trade, but at the same time, they still have their second-round pick, which is the second pick of the second round. So that's really good.
Right. That's the bigger thing to me. I think by then, it's all right. It's all right to make that trade.
They gave up the 23rd. Third-round picks. I see that.
Yeah, well, whenever we got a trade, you don't have to mention the first round pick. It's implied that they swap, right? So all that matters is what happens after. So the Jets are getting Minnesota's fourth round pick. The Jets are getting Minnesota's fourth round pick, but they're giving up both of their third round picks. So Minnesota is going to have, I believe, the second pick of the third round, as well as Seattle's third round pick, which is the 86th overall selection.
Mm-hmm. Just waiting.
And Minnesota had 12 picks in last year's draft, but already a couple of them are off the roster. So we'll see what they do with their
Jets
draft.
Fans are excited.
Yes, they are. And Zach Wilson should be too. Zach Wilson should definitely be too, because I have a strong feeling this is going to be Elijah Vera Tucker, and Zach Wilson is going to have one of the youngest, most promising, cheap, and solid blindside protections in the league.
With the 14th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Elijah Vera Tucker, guard, USC.
Matt, you were right.
That's a really good pick. That moving up 9 spots, giving up no firsts or seconds, and getting what is considered the second best guard in this draft. Actually, no, isn't he considered the best guard in this draft? But he's considered the third best O lineman. So that's a good pick. Not having to give up a first or a second round pick to get the best guard in the draft. That's a good trade. You'll live with no third round picks if you're the Jets for that, for sure.
So there's Mekhi Becton. He's also there. He could be pretty elite too. This offensive line may not be bad. I think Zach Wilson is really going to thrive on that. His vision, they showed in college, was looking really perfect. Really looked like something that when he gets in great protection, and then he's going to unleash everything as long as he has a great receiver to be open for them. So the Jets have that down, and now it's time for New England.
The rest that doesn't mean they haven't hit their quota. The Jets' offensive line is still not good enough. So the blind side is right now on paper looks really good. You got Becton at left tackle, who had a stellar rookie year, and Vera Tucker at left guard. But at center, Connor McGovern had a strong finish to the year, but he's iffy. And then at right guard, Greg Van Roten or Alex Lewis, whoever it is right now, that either one of them is horrible. And then George Fant at right tackle is unreliable. So they've still got to get another guard in this draft, and then hope to God that McGovern and George Fant are, average to above average next year. But it's okay because they have 2 first-round picks next year to continue to fix that. But for the first time in a while, it looks like the Jets' offensive line might not be a bottom 10 O-line, which it has been since 2016, which is a long time. So
the Patriots are now on the clock, and we can definitely now expect Mac Jones to be taken. I don't know. I don't know what to think actually right now.
Yeah, I mean, as offensively, I think where the Patriots need work. Obviously, quarterback position, receiving wise, it's been iffy the past few years, past couple of years now, 3 years. Running back wise, it's been really average. Even the corners now, they got older, haven't played up to par as we're used to seeing in a Belichick-led defense. J.C. Jackson. It's now McCourty's a safety, still a great safety for sure. He's kind of the only one there, and Stephon Gilmore is playing iffy.
Yeah, they made this pick quick.
I think we know why it's quick because they already know who it is.
He and his team have provided more than $5.6 million in 10 states to food for it. John, thank you for your service to our country, for helping those.
Still waiting.
Don't make us wait any longer. Just say what's on your mind.
With the 15th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the six-time world champion New England Patriots select Mac Jones.
There we have it.
yeah,
Number 5.
I'm not fully. I like Mac Jones. He did lead the nation in passing yards last year. He's not particularly athletic. And we haven't seen Mac Jones play with a deficient team. I mean, Alabama every year has one of the best offensive lines in college football and one of the best running games in college football. Not only that, but last year he was throwing to the Heisman Trophy Award winner, so let's see how Mac Jones plays at the NFL level. The Patriots have an elite offensive line. Elite, not just good, it's elite. Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn at offensive tackle, Shaq Mason and Mike Onwenu at the guard position, and David Andrews at the center position. They've also got some good depth too. He's gonna have a lot of time to throw. They've got a really good running game. He's also going to probably be learning behind Cam Newton for a year. I doubt that Mac Jones is the starter day one. They've got some good running backs in Sony Michel, Damian Harris. They got a good check down running back to throw to in James White. The receivers, they did make upgrades in free agency, but they're not particularly good players. Kendrick Bourne is like a wide receiver 3 or 4 at best. Who were the other receivers?
They got Nelson Aguilar from
They signed
Las
3
Vegas.
wide receivers. Yeah, Nelson Aguilar, very unreliable player.
Jacoby
Never
Myers
had
as
over
well,
900 yards in a season. And Jacoby Myers is a decent player. He had a solid year last year. Still hasn't caught a touchdown pass in the NFL. He's thrown more touchdowns than he's caught. But he's a decent route runner. They have decent receivers that are mostly unreliable. They do have a great offensive line. They do have a very good running game right now. We'll see how this works for Mac Jones. He's going to be sitting behind Cam Newton, a former league MVP. So we'll see.
I honestly think that we'll see Jones get some starting time. I genuinely believe he's going to develop really well under the Belichick system. And not that Cam can't go, but he's clearly not the MVP level. He's dealt with injuries every season. Last season, I believe it was COVID, and then I think it was his leg. So I think there's going to be a time where he steals that again, not necessarily COVID, but, an injury. And Jones is going to get some playing time because you're not going to get Jarrett Stidham, with all due respect. You're not getting him he's probably not going to see the field a lot, if any, outside of preseason. So, not that this is a big year for Jones, but I think we're going to see if he has the intangibles to make it for a long time this season.
Yeah, I agree. But with the Patriots, I think Mac Jones, whenever he does start, he's gonna have to primarily rely on his tight ends, right? Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, probably the two biggest acquisitions they got, at least on the offensive
Yes,
side of the
that's
ball.
true. I neglected to mention that. I forgot about them. Those are two good tight ends.
Okay,
Johnny
too.
Smith's a little overrated, but yes, they do have a couple of good tight ends now. We'll see. What again? Just only time will tell with Mac Jones. That it has potential to go either way.
So imagine it now like this: the AFC East's potential starting quarterbacks this upcoming season: Josh Allen for Buffalo, Tua Tagovailoa for Miami, Zach Wilson for New York, and Mac Jones for New England. A very
Wow.
serious regime change in the AFC after we've gotten used to Sam Darnold, Tom Brady, probably some Fitzpatrick, and maybe somebody before Josh Allen. The
Well, that
Tyrod
was
Taylor.
EJ Manuel, right?
Or Tyrod Taylor too.
Tyrod Taylor, yeah. Yeah, the old guard for sure changed. But I think that really goes to show too the change we've seen over the past 10 years, even 5, really 10 years in the NFL, where again you can trust a lot of these younger guys now, where they'll come out of college and you'll trust them to get a grip on the NFL system because in a way it's turned into a more advanced version of the college system as opposed to where it was 20 years ago where college and pro football were two completely different beasts. Now there's some room to where both of them intertwine and you could get a really good college player still dominate across the league like we saw this season with guys like Justin Jefferson, uh John Taylor a little bit, Justin Herbert, even Joe Burrow when he was healthy. So, with that, it kind of gives me the benefit of the doubt of taking a lot of these guys, especially quarterback position, like Mac Jones, where as long as you pair him with someone right, have him in a good system like Belichick,
Okay, so here's
they're probably going to come out all right.
Okay, this pick I'm not crazy about. I like Zaven Collins, but perpetually every single season, Arizona picks somebody that I didn't expect them to pick. And this, I'd have to file this under that too. I like Zaven Collins. I don't think this is a particularly great pick. I think that the one with 3 names, the Owusu, whatever, I thought he was a better player than Zaven Collins. I thought that he would have been a better fit here. They could have maybe grabbed Caleb Farley here. They do need some help in that secondary. They lost Patrick Peterson. Yeah, I'm not crazy about it.
I was also expecting them to pick up Jeremiah Owusu Karama. I mean, how versatile he is, he really balled out in college. But it is interesting because a lot of the rankings had him as early second, third, even fourth best outside linebacker, maybe second, third best linebacker outside of Owusu. But at the same time, he still got great. Yeah. Again, he still got great power. He could play a multitude of roles for this Cardinals team, and this is a team where everyone has more than one role. I mean, look at Isaiah Simmons, transition from college, where he was already the Swiss Army knife, and he was put everywhere. So, Connor's going to bring in a good blend of that. He's got good size, standing at 6'4", 260. He's still fast, even with all of that. His 4-yard dash is 4.6, which is scary. A guy that big is moving that fast. But, I think he's a good fit for them. He maybe will make a big impact now, but I think a year or 2 years down the line, he's gonna be a name to watch for.
So now we got Las Vegas in the draft, and we're going to see who they're going to pick. I mean, I'm not really certain about who they're going to be going for.
Yeah, they have a lot of options. I mean, watching this team last season, I think defensively would be a big focus. Get a cornerback, maybe a safety, heck, even a nose tackle. But at the same time, you could also say offensively that their outside linemen need some help as well. So really, I could see him going either way. But again, this is something where really I think virtually any pick they make probably shouldn't hurt them too
I guess not. I mean, it's not like disaster. It's not like they've already had enough of disaster already.
Yeah,
We know how much disaster
there's
they had.
and
But they don't want to remember what happened with Miami.
that's right. And to me, that's where you go defensively because again, they had so many. They were 8-8 last season, second in the AFC West behind Kansas City. But everyone kind of forgets that because of how many games they're so close to winning. They beat Kansas City. They're responsible for one of three losses Kansas City had, two having starters available. And at the same time, it's still kind of crazy that defensively they do need help. So far the cornerbacks are young. Trayvon Mullen. Let's see here, Corey Littleton, who's linebacker, but still, Jonathan Abram at safety. He's all right, but still improving a bit. This is to me where you go cornerback.
They tore their whole offensive line apart. They had an elite offensive line from left to right. They had 5 really good starters. They had Colton Miller, Richie Incognito, Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, and Trent Brown. They're all gone except Colton Miller. They're all gone. So they just do weird things every year. The Raiders just do weird things. They blindfold themselves.
Joe Gruden effect.
Yes. John Gruden really just likes to do weird things. They blindfold themselves and then they throw darts at a dartboard and whatever it lands on, that's what they do.
It's not even not even John Gruden. It's Mike Mayock too. He was on ESPN once upon a time. So
yeah, but the thing is,
that he knows what he's doing. But
yeah, I like it that you pointed that out. I do like it that I appreciate it that you pointed that out. But John Gruden was given a 10-year deal, and they love him so much. They gave him so much power that they offered him a stake in ownership. I don't think he took it. I don't think they were allowed to do it. But like. Yes, Mike Mayock is the GM, but John Gruden is the primary decision maker there. And, again, John Gruden, who is more of a television star than he is a coach, just loves to be weird. They're weird. Like, remember a couple of minutes ago, I was like, the Cardinals perpetually confuse me every year with who they pick.
I think the Raiders confuse themselves, though.
The Raiders just confuse. They try putting up this smoke screen where they do a bunch of weird things and they're like, yeah, nobody's going to see us coming. No, it's not that. It's just that you guys are stupid. Like, I like some of their players, but like, yeah, I like Damon Arnett, who they got last year, but Cleveland Farrell, 4th overall in 2019, that was stupid. And Henry Ruggs, 12th overall last year. Yes, he's fast, but that was stupid. That was bad value. Value is the word that you guys should. If you don't know what it means, it means based on where you got that pick, it was a great pick in terms of need and system fit and stuff like that. And Henry Ruggs fits the system because the Raiders just like fast guys and short guys. That's their thing. Henry Ruggs is like 5'11", very fast, but he was not the best receiver available at the time. And Cleveland Farrell was not the best edge rusher available at the time. I think Cleveland Farrell had 2 sacks last year, and they were both strip sacks on Sam Darnold in that same game.
So
that's
really,
Goodell for the Raiders now.
Yeah, all right. This will be a weird one. This will be Kellen Mond.
Yeah, right.
Talk me into it.
Okay, that's not a bad pick. That's not a bad pick.
Hart does need protection too, and
yes, and I love
Henry Ruggs.
I love Alabama offensive linemen. They always work out most of the time, and even when they don't become stars, they become reliable.
Alex Leatherwood.
So, wow. Yeah. But even Alex Leatherwood at 17, I'm not sure entirely that's great value. That's good value. That's not great value. They could have done better with this pick. The Raiders haven't had a good defense in my life. Like, is that fair? I was born in 2002. Yeah, I think that's fair. They haven't had a good defense in my life. And they've only been to the playoffs once in my life. So that's totally fair. But right now, Jonathan Abram at strong safety, and maybe Damon Arnett if he doesn't bust. And then after that, you got Max Crosby, who's a decent edge rusher. Corey Littleton, who's a Pro Bowl linebacker, but he had a down year last year. So really outside those couple players, I don't even know if they can stop their opponent from scoring 30 points. They can put up 30 points for sure. But I don't know, man.
Honestly, I understand the pick. I don't know how much I like just because there are arguably 4 or 5 other guys still available that you could have drafted over Leatherwood.
Yeah.
You got guys
or what they could have done.
Like Lee Meikenberg or Dylan Radnuns, who was holding Trey Lance down, helping him up. Christian Darrisaw, I think, from VT is still on the board.
Yeah. And that's
what's interesting on the ESPN draft predictions, they didn't predict Leatherwood to get drafted till the end of the second round. So he's the first guy who, prediction-wise, wasn't even on the board for the top 32.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not angry with this pick either for the Raiders, because now Henry Ruggs is back with Alex Leatherwood, and that reestablishes an old connection that they had.
Well, I mean, offensive linemen and wide receivers don't have connections. I mean, that's not really a thing. Like that's more so just a coincidence. But either way, Miami is now on the clock. They're picking from their inherited spot. Now, Miami.
Did we say, by the way, 5 Alabama players drafted through 17 picks?
Yeah, Surtain.
Devontae Smith, yeah. We get
Jalen Waddle, Mac Jones, and now Alex Leatherwood. Now the Dolphins just handed in the card. They just put the pick in. This is their inherited pick. They went 10-6 last year. It was so unfortunate for the Dolphins. You know, they expand the playoffs from 6 teams to 7 teams. They go 10-6 and they still miss the playoffs. The reason why they added the 7th seed. What was that, Zach?
I mean. Yeah, Miami didn't get their win in Week 17 against Buffalo, and the Colts and the Jaguars could not help them against the Colts. That's pretty much the falter in that regard, not to mention Cleveland getting their win.
Yeah, but either way, what I was trying to say was the NFL added that 7th seed just to make sure that every 10-win team makes the playoffs, and surely enough, they go 10-6 and miss the playoffs. So that's unfortunate for them.
Nothing to do with Alex Smith and the Washington football team getting into the playoffs with only 7 wins, because the NFC East was definitely horrid. Yeah,
and even the wild card teams, you know, Chicago was 8-8 and they made the playoffs. So like that's the Dolphins. The Dolphins are just playing in the wrong conference, really.
Yeah. So here's the Dolphins pick now from Roger Goodell.
The commissioner is walking up to the podium.
With the 18th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Phillips.
Oh, okay. That's a good. That's
Phillips still rocking it at Hard Rock Stadium.
I like Jalen Phillips a lot. That's a really good value pick. That's a really good value pick. To get him at 18 is great value for them. Now they do have. Oh, come on! Don't forget now, Emmanuel Ogbah. Right, they have Emmanuel Ogbah off the edge, who had 9 sacks last year. They have a couple of young guys like Jason Strowbridge, who they like. But yeah, this now Jalen Phillips and Emmanuel Ogbah coming off the edge. That's a pretty lethal duo right there.
I just wanted to
let's
just take a minute now and kind of just retell Jalen Phillips' story. I mean, this dude was retired 2 years ago. Okay, he was at UCLA. He had too many concussions, retired. Then over the offseason had changed thought, came out of retirement, went to Miami. He obviously had missed 19 because of the transfer rules. And last season, he put up 45 tackles, 15 of those for loss, half of those for sacks. And he just proved he was one of the most powerful guys defensively in the NCAA. So you're right. It's definitely a lot of potential right there for that guy who, again, 2 years ago wasn't even playing football anymore. So there's a risk, obviously, injury factor, concussion-wise, of course. Those don't get any easier to deal with, especially in the pros. God bless Jordan Reed. He had so many. He had to retire because of it. You don't want to see that. But again, this is a guy who last year proved he is a top 5 defensive end, maybe higher too, top 3 defensive end in the NCAA, and should transition well to the pros.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised that Gregory Rousseau is still available, and I think the Giants could still work towards getting him, which would be pretty interesting too. Washington's on the clock now, and it's going to be a big guess to see who they're going to pick up. They got Chase Young, and it did help them last year get into the playoffs. But who do you think they'll need that'll help them this upcoming season?
Yeah, I don't know where you go if you're Washington, because you kind of think to yourself, maybe maybe a quarterback. No Alex Smith, no Dwayne
What
Haskins.
quarterback would be available?
I was gonna say the problem for them is all the good quarterbacks, all the ones we predicted were impactful, are gone.
At this rate, I think that
then you try to go defensively or receiving wise, but you got a lot of young guys with potential. Tight end, the same thing. Really, I think offensive line is the only way to
Elijah
go.
Moore. There could be receivers like Elijah Moore and Terrence Marshall that is still on the table. I mean, but as far as quarterback, nothing notable for Washington to pick up in the draft. I think they're better off with either a free agency or a trade move outside of the draft.
Yeah. After those 5, you got Davis Mills, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond. No one predicted Ian Book, Zach Smith. No one really predicted that highly to make an impact.
Yeah, I guess
so
nobody.
Far, kind of looking at all the names again, we're gonna say it till he gets picked up. But Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa is probably the best guy still on the board. You think if he's not taken here, he's probably getting picked up by the Giants. Maybe. And I don't know. Offensively, looking at offensive line guys, I don't know. Christian Darso, maybe. I don't know. He's a tackle.
Washington. Yeah, this is an interesting one because that they're not.
Kevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State or Dylan Radman.
They're not drafting defense at all because their secondary is strong, their linebacking core is strong, and their defensive line is perhaps the best unit in the NFL. So offensive line is not particularly good. They do have 2 good receivers in Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. They've got a good running back in Antonio Gibson and another good receiving back in J.D. McKissick. So I think that this is probably going to be I would have to draft an offensive lineman here if I were the Washington football team. They also got
taking a guard, and I'm getting rid of Eric Flowers.
Christian Darrisaw is still available for them. They could also go for Landon Dickerson or Tevin Jenkins.
I do want to apologize too for the quarterback position because I did fail to mention their current quarterback 1, 2, and 3 would be Ryan Fitzpatrick, Taylor Heineke, and then Kyle Allen. It is interesting for sure.
It's going to be quite fun. Giants are coming up next as long as they don't make another trade. But Giants are close to finding somebody, and if they are serious about defense, I suggest they work with Christian Barmore. He's a defensive tackle. He looks pretty good, and he compares to Marcel Darius. He works well with an attack-oriented, has a big body with some violent hands. He tends to be in the lead and take control of majority of reps sometimes. He works well with his feet and his hands. And we know that with Dalvin Tomlinson out, imagine the Giants work for drafting another defensive tackle from Alabama. It was Dalvin Tomlinson, and it could be Barmore.
Yeah, I think that could be another need. Although, again, edge has got to be, I think, defensively, edge has got to be the big one. If not there, then yeah, the interior linebacking spot too. Again, Owusu Koromoa still on the board.
Yeah, it sure is.
Kind of just twirling his thumbs.
I mean, I don't know what to think about with the Giants as far as defense because their defense looked really good last year. It was just the offense.
I think they're outside. I think their safeties and having Blake Martinez is an incredible get.
Yeah, and Xavier McKinney, when he's completely healthy, I can see him being the elusive threat.
Logan as well.
Reach.
I don't like that me. One. ESPN had him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, that's not a good pick. He could end up being a good player, but picking 19th, they definitely could have gotten someone else. But anyway, I wanted to capitalize on what you guys were saying. That Giants secondary is strong. I mean, so you got Xavier McKinney, who was a 2nd-round pick last year. He's going to be playing free safety. They got Jabril Peppers, a strong safety. And Logan Ryan, who was one of the league's best slot corners, moved to free safety last year, and he was excellent. So with Xavier McKinney coming back, expect him to maybe be starting on the outside at the number 2 corner spot, but also he could be playing slot corner, and he could be playing some free safety too. He's very versatile. And then they also brought in Adoree Jackson. Now, they overpaid for him. Adoree Jackson is not particularly good. He is talented. He did have a good rookie year. He did have a decent sophomore season, but he's been hurt. He's been inconsistent. But overall, the Giants coverage unit is light years ahead of where they were at one point. And then obviously Blake Martinez, stellar tackler. He really helped against the run last year. And then Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence are good run stoppers. Leonard Williams broke out last year with 11 and a half sacks.
11 and a half, right?
Yeah, so that Giants defense is already strong, and I expect it to get stronger right here. Kwity Paye still on the board at this point. I don't know why they would pass on him.
Well, maybe Jason Owe could also be built to play well. He does have the dominant potential to be a run defender. He can burst through. He can play the range with the up and backside and play side runs.
He was fun to watch in Penn State.
Sure.
They also need an edge rusher here. I mean, they haven't had a good edge rusher in a while. I would not hesitate to pick Kwity Paye right here. Really, I've been banging on the table for him all night.
I get what you're going with. I mean, I don't even know any edge rushers the Giants have right now that could be a playmaker themselves.
Not really any.
The Giants have the edge rusher right now.
They have a 3-4 defense, so their edge rushers would be their outside linebackers. Now, who are their outside linebackers?
That'll be Dexter Lawrence, RJ.
No, Dexter Lawrence is a defensive end. Those guys in a 3-4 system, those are more so interior.
Lorenzo Carter
was a defensive
Ryan Anderson.
Okay, Ryan Anderson's not bad from the Washington team, but last year he was injured. Ifeadi Odenigbo. He was all right. He had 7 sacks 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think the Giants will need that rusher at this point. I want them taking that Jason guy from Penn State or Paye from Michigan. I'll be fine with either one. Giants don't have a choice. The offense they can work with on their own time because the weapons are set. You just need to improve the offensive line. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, any improvement offensively is going to have to come from within because right now, I mean, you could still draft a couple linemen later. But
realistically, this is the proven year for Daniel Jones. Okay, year 3 now. This is, I think, contract year. Unless he has one left. But this is the year where if he doesn't not just media, but obviously the team, if he doesn't have these great performances and uplift his offense, that's when you start looking into, all right, who's the future? Where this draft was a bust. This draft pick was a bust. Who's next?
Well, the issue for the Giants. Go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
I was saying, unlike last year, you don't really have Colt McCoy to kind of back him up now. You got Mike Glennon for some reason, and Joe Webb in a galaxy far away in case anything happens to him there.
Joe Webb.
It really is all up to Daniel Jones.
The big thing about that is in the 2022 NFL draft, it's a really weak quarterback class. So if Daniel Jones doesn't work out, the Giants are screwed in that category. They're going to have to try and mortgage their future and get Deshaun Watson, someone really expensive. But
I don't think Watson's going to be in the league this time.
Yeah, well, no, he'll be in the league. I mean, if Ben Roethlisberger can get away,
we'll see.
What do you think the Giants are going to have to wait for if they're going to have to look for another quarterback after Daniel Jones and that eventually doesn't work out? Why do they have to wait on that Bryce Young guy who's going to be the new starting quarterback at Alabama? Do they have to wait for him to break out?
No. Alabama quarterbacks. Alabama doesn't really have a quarterback tree. I mean, Joe Namath, but really everyone else, nobody has.
Spencer Rattler in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't know. The next year's quarterback draft class is so weak. I mean, you have to hope Daniel Jones works out. And even if he doesn't work out this year, what you could do is you could just use him as a game manager for next year with no intention of committing to him long term, But I don't know.
Yeah. Again, that also means you're throwing away your season again. And
not necessarily. I mean, the Washington football team last year won game managing, so they won the division game managing. So just use Daniel Jones as a game manager.
Because the rest of the conference was inept.
Yeah, right. But I mean, they
Can't really think of that every season. Well,
Yeah.
with the
I'm not going to
Eagles and
spoil it for
Dallas
this
in your
pick. I am not
conference,
going to look
then-
at Twitter for this one because I am a true Giants fan. I am waiting.
Did you look at Twitter when the Jets drafted Vera Tucker? Like, did you peek and not tell me?
Vera Tucker, I think I did
Still
actually.
Sims there?
I don't know actually. I don't think so. Maybe I did.
I think you peeked.
Lot of-
I think you peeked and just didn't tell me, Zach.
A
It's
lot of
okay.
social distancing.
Well, you didn't want me to. Remember, you didn't want me to tell you.
No, I didn't. I didn't want you to. I didn't want you to. That's why I appreciate it.
No problem.
So then after this pick, there are 12 more picks.
Got Indianapolis leading it off afterwards.
Yes, and of course, the Colts made one of the biggest moves of this offseason. They traded for Carson Wentz, giving up this year's what was it? Was it this year's second round pick? And then next year they gave up a second round pick that could become a first round pick if Carson Wentz plays 70% of their snaps, which is likely because the Colts have a great offensive line. Carson Wentz probably won't get hurt next year. So I'm expecting a really big bounce back season from Carson Wentz. I expect him to be in the comeback player of the year conversation.
Well, there's going to be a lot of comeback player of the year candidates. Saquon Barkley,
Yeah.
one of them, and including Nick Bosa. Okay, guys,
Sam
more.
Darnold.
Here it is.
Another.
Let's see. Who could it be?
Do not like that pick, not even remotely.
They're ahead of me. So
I hate this pick. Actually, I think this.
Kadarius Toney. Wow.
I think to this point, this was the worst pick in the NFL draft. He could be a good player. I'm not saying he's not going to work out, but again, guys, value. I mean, the Giants don't need a wide receiver here. They need an edge rusher. They have really no edge presence. This baffles me.
Me
This
too.
baffles me. And
I don't want to react just because
Devontae Smith was stolen from them.
just because I don't know why.
Oh man, Dave Gettleman. That seat has been.
I know
hot
that's
for so
why,
long.
but I mean, why?
That seat has been hot for so long. He's been such a questionable decision maker in terms of personnel, and this really just epitomizes it. I mean, oh man.
Everyone's face when that pick was called was shocked. They put their hands on their head just to give the listeners visual aid. I mean,
I hate having.
I
to
think
say
that's
because
everyone in the Giants fan base. Wow.
I mean,
Happy
watching
for the
his
Toney
family,
though, they're partying.
Yeah, watching his family celebrate, like it makes me feel so bad that I have to say this, and I hope he becomes a good player. Obviously, I'm not saying that I think Kadarius Toney sucks. I'm just saying this was an awful decision. They could have gotten him in the second round, probably at their pick, right? Don't they have what is it?
I don't
the 43rd
think so,
pick? What was that?
The thing is, I don't think so though, because a lot of teams like to reach for speed receivers.
But that's not a good. But there's
I know,
no.
but like they might have not thought he would have been there, so they might have just took him just to have that speed. But yeah, the whole.
But that's not a good. That's not a good way to build a team. Reaching is not a good thing. There's no real.
Have you seen the Giants the last 7 years?
They've reached a lot.
They've been built on.
They already reached for Daniel Jones and traded back into the first round for a guy who's not on their team.
Honestly,
anymore.
we're the fools for not expecting that. We've been ragging on the Raiders, but that's what the Giants have been doing since they won the Super Bowl. Because right after they won it.
Yeah, right after they won it. I mean, David Wilson was a first-round pick, and he was done after 1 year.
There you go. It's been all reaching.
I mean, Justin Pugh was a good player, but he's not there anymore.
All right.
And
let's give some numbers to Kadarius Toney. Okay, he was sixth on the position ranking.
Let's once again
obviously behind Smith, Chase, and Waddle, but Elijah Moore and Rashad Bateman were listed ahead of him. And look, comparing all those guys, he's undersized as a slot. That's the best thing. He's explosive, but not really explosive to the rate as the top 3 receivers. He's another speed receiver, but you just signed John Ross, whose whole purpose is being the fastest guy in the field at any given moment. You'd assume he'd be good in the hybrid, so it works, I guess. If you're gonna do a lot of sweeps or you're gonna run a lot of option offense.
No,
but the Giants really didn't run.
That would have been a good pick if you were Kyle Shanahan, who likes, to use.
Right.
He likes those trick shifty players. Like he uses Deebo Samuel at least 3 times a game in the run game, But they don't do that. That's not how Jason Garrett runs his system. That's not how he does it. Jason Garrett is very just like plain. It's use the run to set up the pass, and there's no trickery. The Cowboys never tried any trickery, and the Giants didn't last year either, except for when they ran that fake field goal against the Browns, and the punter threw a pass to Nick Gates, the center, in the end zone. That's the only trickery that they do. And I mean, Kadarius Toney, man, there's no excuse. I'm not. I mean, Anthony, I appreciate
matter more to the Giants than
them. I'm not making an excuse for them. Zach, I'm sorry. What was that?
Does fixing the offense and getting more weapons mean more to the Giants than working on defense?
I guess so. I guess so. It's got to.
Clearly,
you wanted to go with a weapon. They should have gone with Elijah Moore.
We were watching a different. We were watching a different season to what the Giants ownership
one at a time. Okay, I'm sorry, Ken. Can you repeat?
I was saying clearly we were watching a different season to what Gettleman and the rest of the front offense saw. I mean, we saw defensive holes aplenty. Apparently, they saw it differently.
Yeah. Okay. And now, Zach, what were you saying, Zach?
Yeah. So if the Giants wanted to get a receiver, I think they could have also thought about Terrence Marshall or Elijah Moore. They looked like better prospects than Kadarius Toney. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking about. It's because of Kyle Trask making Kadarius Toney look like the star wide receiver on the team besides Kyle Pitts.
Well, the Colts pick is in. God, I can't believe what I just witnessed Dave Gettleman do. I really thought Dave Gettleman was over. I thought that was just a phase because he was a good general manager in Carolina.
You should have learned after Daniel Jones.
The Giants do it. If the Giants are bad this coming season again, then Dave Gettleman is bye-bye.
Yeah, if this doesn't work out, Dave Gettleman's probably fired. If the Giants start off the season,
not just Gettleman, but also Daniel Jones, because the weapons are going to be there. The O-line should be better. This is him. Gettleman and Jones are 1 and 2 in terms of who's got to produce the most for the Giants. It's got to be Gettleman's picks have got to really, Kadarius Toney's got to make an instant impact somehow. Well, you know what? Number 5 receiver.
Yeah. Just let me say this real quick because I can legitimize the Giants not drafting an offensive lineman in the first round. Okay, here's why. Daniel Jones is fast. He's a very good runner. They probably are planning to move the pocket a lot, get him on the run,
He should be going
mask the offensive line's problems by using Daniel Jones's mobility. Okay, but
they gotta do that.
They should have drafted an edge rusher. There. Leonard Williams is a good pass rusher, but he's an interior rusher. Dexter Lawrence is not really a pass rusher at all. He's a run stopper. They lost Alvin Tomlinson on the interior as a run stopper. Okay, but they still got a good run defense. They need an edge rusher. That was the opportunity to get an edge rusher. Kwity Paye, Greg Rousseau, whoever. And they just drafted who is right now the 4th best receiver on that team, maybe the 5th best. Because they did bring in John Ross, who was one of the fastest players in the NFL, but he hasn't stayed healthy. He did show some promise in 2019, but still,
you could even argue 6 behind Evan Ingram because when he catches passes, he's actually and doesn't fumble the ball. He's actually pretty useful.
Yeah, and he's one of the fastest tight ends in the NFL. Can't block at all, so he basically is a wide receiver. He's just a very tall one, but still, I mean, and then Saquon is an excellent receiver out of the backfield. Right.
But they don't use him. They don't use him as a receiver though.
Well, they couldn't last year because he, was out for however.
But even when he wasn't hurt, the first half they never used him as a receiver. Maybe like twice.
Check that. He had 90 catches with Eli in his rookie year.
I'm saying last year, though.
Saquon also missed some time in his second year too because he had an ankle injury early in the season. But yeah, all right. So let's see who the Colts are picking. This could be anyone. This could potentially be like
too,
because the Colts are loaded. The Colts are very talented. They're just going to go best player available here. Their general manager Chris Ballard's very smart. Their left tackle retired. That could be something.
Let's see what happens.
2001 NFL Draft. Indianapolis Colts
Okay, there you go. That's
I like that.
And the Giants deserve every bit of criticism they are now going to receive because Kwity Paye should not have been on the board for Chris Ballard. This is a great pick for Chris Ballard. This is a great pick. Justin Houston's a free agent, and he was their best edge rusher. They have strong interior rushers with DeForest Buckner and come on, the other one that he was with the Raiders. Someone want to help me out there?
Well, my question is Indy running a 3-4 or
no? They run a 4-3. They run a 4-3. They have two strong interior rushers. DeForest Buckner at one defensive tackle position.
Oh yeah, DeForest Buckner. I like him. He's really
Robert
good.
Windsor as well. Taekwon Lewis, of course. Can't forget about
No,
him.
Yeah, I think that
Robert
going
Windsor
to complement
didn't play
DeForest
last.
Buckner very well.
Now, come on.
It wasn't Grover Stewart, was it?
Who's the defensive tackle they had last year? He had 7.5 sacks. And he had like 9 sacks in 20. No. Oh, come on. You were like Danico Autry. That's it. Is he still there, or did he go to Tennessee? He might have gone to Tennessee.
He's not on this roster.
Yeah, he went to Tennessee. Okay, I'm an idiot. All right, but still, they still do have a strong interior presence. They have Taekwon Lewis. Obviously, they have DeForest Buckner. They lost Justin Houston off the edge, so this is a really good replacement for Justin Houston. Kwity Paye. Obviously, they're going to have him for 4, maybe 5 years if they end up having to pick up that option. This is a great pick for the Colts. And this is salt in the wound for Giants fans, really. I mean, I know there are some casual Giants fans who aren't going to understand why that pick was dumb, but that pick was dumb. Even if that pick works out, that pick was not a good value pick. Okay. And we see that sometimes. We see guys get reached for and they still work out. And then, you know, they show videos of people like us and they're like, oh, remember when that idiot said this? Well, the reason why we say stuff like that is because it wasn't a good value pick. I'm struggling to think like who might have been reached for, but then ended up working out. But still, he could end up being a Pro Bowler, but that still was not as good a pick as Kwity Paye would have been here.
Yeah, well, it also means that defensively, the best defensive end would be Gregory Rousseau coming out of Miami or Ronnie Perkins of Oklahoma.
Well, I have a feeling Rousseau is going to go right here to the Titans because the Titans have no pass rush. Pass rush.
You could argue Ted Jr. was a reach, by the way.
Yeah, but he also wasn't particularly good with the Dolphins.
Janikowski, I mean, he was in first. It was his first 32.
Yeah, but the Raiders deserved criticism because they drafted a kicker in the first round, no matter how many years he kicked for them. I'm trying to think of a 25. I'm trying to think of a guy who was drafted and everybody was like, "No, I don't like this pick," and then he became a perennial Pro Bowler, like in the first round. And I'm having trouble.
I have not even seen James' reaction on Twitter to what the Giants did with Kadarius Toney.
I think he's off drinking. We're being honest. I mean,
yeah, he ain't happy.
That pick coupled with the Isles win, he's gonna have a huge hangover tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Sure well, one thing. So Quentin Nelson was one of those guys because remember the Colts traded back from 3 to 6 back in 2018, and they drafted Quentin Nelson with that 6th overall pick. And a lot of people were saying 6 overall is too high to draft a lineman, but Quentin Nelson's the best offensive lineman in the NFL. So that's one situation, but I don't think anybody criticized the Colts for that because people looked at Quentin Nelson as a generational talent. I don't know. Either way, I'm not going to try remembering the whole time. I'll sound like an idiot trying to spitball.
So the Titans are now on the clock and they got 2 minutes left to make their pick. They're showing pass catchers on the channel I'm watching the game on, and no more Jonnu Smith. You can imagine that the Titans would search for a weapon of their own for Ryan Tannehill?
Well, they did lose Corey Davis. He's with the Jets now. He'll be catching passes from Zach Wilson. And then obviously, they lost Jonnu Smith. They do have A.J. Brown. They do have Derrick Henry in the backfield. Not that they throw it to him, but you don't need to throw it to Derrick Henry. And then their offensive line has gotten much weaker. And last year's first-round pick, who was a right tackle, Isaiah Wilson, he's already out of the NFL. He played 4 snaps last year. He had issues. He had health issues. They traded him to Miami, and then Miami cut him. So he's not even in the NFL right now. So they could use some help at tackle. They could use some help on the edge. I think Greg Rousseau is going to go right here. I doubt they pick a receiver here, though.
I agree with you right there. And if they're going to look for a receiver, Elijah Moore could possibly be an answer, or even Terrence Marshall. We're still looking to see what they're going to do, and I think that one of those receivers could complement Tannehill in the past game.
That they could, but they also did bring in Josh Reynolds from the Rams to replace Corey Davis. And I think Josh Reynolds is a good player. Mike Vrabel is a defensive-minded head coach, even though the Titans defense has sucked the past couple of years. I wouldn't be surprised to see this be Caleb Farley.
Yeah, I think the Titans will just take probably the best player available, whoever they see in their eyes. Because realistically, the Titans don't have any noticeable holes. Although, yes, you can argue they should get another receiver or focus even on the defensive side of the ball, because there's no such thing as too many edge presences, because at the end of the day, the more the merrier. But yeah,
you play for Giants.
Well, they don't have any good edge presences, though. I mean, they had the worst pass rush in the NFL last year, so one of the worst in the NFL last year, and they lost Jadeveon Clowney. They did add Bud Dupree, correct? Did they sign Bud Dupree this offseason? That was them?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe they did.
Bud Dupree's a monster.
So you need to get someone.
He is very good.
Yeah, they have Harold Landry and Bud Dupree now at the outside linebacker position. But I still think you got to get you got to focus on the defensive side of the ball. That Titans defense was too exploitable last year. I think this is going to be either Caleb Farley or Greg Rousseau.
What was that, Mike? We didn't catch you. All right.
I think his mic's out, but he said
your mic was on
Greg
mute.
Rousseau
Didn't really
or
get you down.
He said Trayvon Morey or Greg Rousseau.
The last thing I said was I have a feeling this is going to be Caleb Farley or Greg Rousseau. Did you guys hear me say that?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Then I muted myself. Yeah, I didn't say anything.
Okay, so here we go now with the Titans pick. Well, here we go. Sweet Caroline. What's all that about? What? There's no Carolina pick.
Perhaps an allusion to the next pick.
Who knows? Here we are.
All right,
right,
so you guys can crown me king now. No, I'm kidding. But first of all, I would just like to start by saying, I mean, it doesn't have to be either Carolina for them to be playing that song. The Red Sox play that song every home game at Fenway. So, who are we to judge? But also, yeah, I mean, I think this is a really good pick. That Titans defense should not be getting chewed up the way that they've been. Especially, I think they were like a top 5 defense in 2018. And then they just fell off a cliff overnight. That can't be happening. Not with a defensive-minded head coach. With their offense being as explosive as it is, you've just got to be average to become a great team on defense. So Caleb Farley definitely makes them better. Caleb Farley's the only reason why Caleb Farley fell is because of his injury issues. I mean, he has to stay healthy. He has to be on the field for them for this to work out. And if he is, this will definitely work.
Yeah,
Caleb Farley, again, coming out of VT, it was interesting. He was predicted to go around this area, so a bit earlier in the draft. But I mean, he opted out last season. From what I saw, I thought he was still pretty good as a corner. He used to be a wide receiver, which I thought was also interesting because he started, I believe, all through high school and then through most of college as a receiver, transitioned to a corner and just dominated back in Virginia Tech.
Of course, one notable cornerback in the NFL who did that was Richard Sherman, who was playing wide receiver at Stanford in college. He actually has a couple of career catches at Stanford. And then in his college career, he moved to cornerback. He was drafted in the 5th round. And, you know, since from that moment, he has been the best corner of his era. I'll take Darrell Revis from return. Yeah, that's an unfair. Nobody's Darrell Revis. That's an unfair comparison to make. Now Minnesota is on the clock here. If you remember, if you've been keeping up, this is Seattle's selection, but they had given it to the Jets in that blockbuster trade for Jamal Adams, and then the Jets earlier tonight traded up with the Vikings. So now the Vikings are selecting in what was the Jets spot by way of Seattle. So yeah, there you go. So sorry to, I know you need a roadmap to get to that one, but the Vikings defense used to be great. Now it's terrible. They're going to have to do something here on defense because that offense is explosive. They have an elite wide receiving duo. Justin Jefferson had one of the best rookie seasons ever from a wide receiver, and Adam Thielen's a stud. Adam Thielen scored 14 touchdowns last year. It was a career high. Kirk Cousins threw 35 touchdowns last year. I know he gets a lot of criticism, but he's a decent quarterback. He should be fine, especially with those receivers. Dalvin Cook out of the backfield is just a monster. He is just an absolute beast. The offensive line is not particularly strong. I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe reach for a lineman here, but I don't think, obviously I was just criticizing the Raiders, the Cardinals, and the Giants, and also Washington for reaching. Yeah, now that I think about that, four out of the 5 picks were really reaches. Anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them reach for a lineman, but I hope they don't. I'm expecting this to be a defensive player, and the pick is in, so we'll see.
I'm not too crazy about who the Vikings are going to get. I mean, like, there could be anything. I think offense could be a little more of a key since Kirk Cousins practically didn't really get as much as he wanted to this past season. He had the weapons, Adam Thielen and rookie Justin Jefferson, along with the star running back and Dalvin Cook. I guess the pass protection just must be what he needs. Mm-hmm.
Leading Vikings 7-9. And they're
Yeah.
23.
Yeah, isn't that that's a little strange seeing them so under 500. They haven't been under 500 since like 2014, I think.
Right.
Yeah. But,
and them wedged in between Tennessee and Pittsburgh. Also interesting. The 2 very good teams. 2 record-wise very good.
Yeah, right.
Titans, they get the Pittsburgh Steelers get their picks next, and I am still expecting for them to pick Najee Harris.
Yeah, I think looking at all the teams, they probably need a running back the most, and it's not a slight against Samuels or Connor, but
right, like they're the only team in the NFL who actually has a real running back need, because a lot of teams like having a workhorse lead back, and some of them do, like the Vikings or the Titans. Some teams like having, a running back committee. Some teams like having a running back duo. The Packers have had a running back duo, but really the Steelers are the only team that doesn't have a lead back or a committee. Like, they do not have a talented backfield. So it wouldn't
again, James
be
Conner
surprising.
just dipped to Arizona. So
yeah. Well, yeah. Speaking of Arizona, they let Kenyon Drake walk, and the Raiders, of course, have Josh Jacobs, who's a monster running back, and then they lose 4 starting offensive linemen. So what do the Raiders do? They go and sign Kenyon Drake. So now they have 2 outstanding running backs, and like nobody to block for them. That, again, just to keep bullying the Raiders because it's fun. But
we love to criticize Giants, but I mean the Raiders. Oh boy. At least you can argue the picking a receiver at 20 minutes.
Here's Goodell now.
He does.
With the 23rd pick in the 2021 draft, the Minnesota Vikings, Christian Darrisaw.
Okay, I like
Right,
Christian.
so I knew that they had to go for the protection, and this is how they address it.
Yeah, I like Christian Darrisaw. They do have a young right tackle, Brian O'Neill, who has been their left tackle. It's not Riley Reef anymore, I guess. So yeah, so they needed a new left tackle, and then they got him one. So that's good. This is a decent pick, considering the fact that they're picking 23rd overall. This is a decent pick.
You're telling me you don't have any faith in Rashad Hill?
Nah.
Who has played zero, who has 5 years of NFL experience but 0 games played.
No, is that a thing? Wait, really? I thought that
Wade
Hill,
from Jacksonville. Wade from Jacksonville.
I didn't know that he's never played in a game before, because I see him every year in Madden, like, as their backup offensive lineman. But like, no, he's played.
No,
he's
played
59. Yeah, he's played
no
59.
No data. But again,
yeah, no, but he's still not good. You can check Pro Football Focus. His grades are horrible. No, it's just
that's what I'm using. So it's bit behind.
So they at least now have 2 formidable Well, I mean, at least we'll think that they have 2 decent tackles. Obviously, you don't know if he's going to work out or not. But Darrisaw at left tackle, and then O'Neill at right tackle. That's a solid tackle duo. And then I really like their center. I really like their center, Garrett Bradbury. So this is a decent offensive line now.
Really, Darrisaw should have been picked earlier, but he got picked.
It would have made
Vikings.
Sense.
It's gonna. You're right. It's gonna make an instant help, and he's just gonna join the carousel of the young guys who are really balling for Minnesota.
Guys are on the clock, and their pick is already in.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a running back.
They're going to go for Najee Harris, him or Travis Etienne, but I think it's more of Harris.
Yeah, I think Najee Harris is probably the better pick of the 2. I think Najee Harris really helped Mac Jones.
Players as tough as steel in the Steel City. You get Big Ben, you get Juju Smith-Schuster, and you can get Najee Harris. That's going to be the new 3-headed monster in Pittsburgh.
Well, the thing is Ben is not Ben anymore. Ben is an average to below average quarterback. He can't throw the ball down the field. He can't throw the ball down the field. They do have a couple of good speedy receivers: Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington, and Deontay Johnson. They got a couple of decent tight ends. Well, they have Eric Ebron. I think they got rid of Vance McDonald. But again, really the only hole on offense, their offensive line has regressed significantly too. Yeah. And they lost Marquise Pouncey. They lost Alejandro Villanueva. The only real starter they have returning is David DeCastro at right guard. But yes, in terms of weapons, in terms of receivers and playmakers, their really only deficiency is at running back. The only running back on their roster who I currently like is Benny Snell, and he's nothing more than a backup goal line type running back. I wouldn't be surprised to see this be Najee Harris
I just do want to point out, it's interesting, ESPN, they say that Pittsburgh's best fit is Travis Etienne. So they're really, to me, they're interchangeable. It's not a bad thing, I just think in Pittsburgh especially, I think both of them could produce virtually identical. So I really can't fault them for whatever they pick.
You're loud, Bruce.
That's so nice to have fans back.
There it is. Called it.
Way to go, Zach. Had a boy.
Najee Harris.
And Zach called that a couple of days ago, so we have to give Zach his credit. I wasn't even thinking along those lines. I wasn't even thinking about what Pittsburgh would do because I don't care about them. But yeah, that was a good call, and you did a good job with that, Zach. So way to be. I really like Najee Harris. I think he's the best running back in this draft. I'm not crazy about drafting running backs early in the first round, but this is not early.
But it makes sense.
This is not
it
early
makes
in the
sense
first
here
round,
anyway.
so it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it were 10th overall, I'd be like, wow, you guys are stupid. But but yeah, I'm surprised Dave Gettleman didn't draft Najee Harris. Seems like it would make sense based on yeah. But
at the same time, for Najee Harris, we talked about him a lot, obviously, even on prior shows, but he's the real deal, man. He's great size. Compared to him and Etienne, he's the bigger guy, 6'1", 230. Regardless, he's a 4.5 40-yard dash. He's got really good. He's got good speed. And he looked better as a runner as a senior than he did beforehand, which is pretty good. You know, he's also improving on the catch, which is good, especially in the Steelers system where they rely a lot on the pass. And he has, let's see here, 11 receiving touchdowns. So he could be your 3-down back in the NFL, which is good when your back is Benny Snell. It's not an insult, but of the two, Snell is going to be used as speed back. And honestly, my favorite stat for Najee Harris is he has 57 career touchdowns, which is tied for the most in SEC history with Tim Tebow.
Jacksonville Jaguars, future Jacksonville Jaguars tight end Tim Tebow.
Knock on wood. Former New York Met Tim Tebow.
Yeah, I'm hoping I see that. I mean, I hated Tim Tebow as a quarterback. I thought he sucked. I did not get.
He never had that complete hype other than giving the Broncos the overtime win in 2011.
That was a heck of a run, though.
Yeah, but that wasn't. Demaryius Thomas did the damage. I mean, Tebow threw an 11-yard pass, and then Demaryius.
Someone had a pass to him. Come on,
first-round picks for Alabama.
He only completed 10 passes.
History with the 2004 Miami Hurricanes, and I think Tim Barmore can break the tie.
That's an incredible stat right there. Again, goes to show you the dynasty Saban has built and the talent. This isn't something where like, all these people overreacting or they're seeing something that's not there. Alabama was the real deal. After a couple seasons where they were close but weren't able to get the job done, this season they really bounced back. Even with all the struggles, dealing with the pandemic, seeing so many schools, many of their opponents have to cancel and reschedule games. Hats off to all these guys for really just balling out during the season. And again, Najee Harris is a great example of that. Again, it's pretty good. You're pretty good. You're a pretty good player when you're in the same territory as Derrick Henry in terms of the amount of scrimmage yards you get in a single season. Because him and Derrick Henry, I think, have the most in the SEC at 28. So, I don't think he's going to be the next Derrick Henry, but I mean, the potential is there, obviously.
No, but he does have, massive quads. He's a big guy. He's strong. He's a stud. He's going to be good for Pittsburgh. The thing is, again, Pittsburgh's offensive line is mostly aged out. They're all gone, really, except for DeCastro. So I wonder how they're going to handle that. He might not have any open lanes to run through this year. So I don't know. We'll see. But Trevor Lawrence's newest team, is back on the clock. They're picking 25th overall. And right here, I would expect them to go defensive side of the ball simply because their defense is as bad as their offense. But their offense has, I was saying it earlier, their offense has some good receivers. They've got the good running back in James Robinson. Obviously, now they figured out the quarterback position. So I think you gotta build on the opposite side of the ball. Last year, they drafted C.J. Henderson at cornerback. He struggled a little bit as a rookie, but he is promising. He's a good player.
I agree.
There really are no other cornerbacks worthy of a first-round pick in this draft. So I would expect this maybe to be up front on the defensive line. This could be Greg Rousseau. That would make sense. Pair him up with Josh Allen.
Honestly, though, just with the way the draft's been, I really wouldn't be stunned if they they stuck offense and just picked a receiver for the heck of it. I mean, you're right.
But that's not a bad idea at 25th. That's not a bad idea at 25th at all. It's a bad idea when it's a bad idea when you're the Giants and you bypass the 4th and 5th best receivers to pick the 6th best receiver who's undersized, right. and you had the best edge rusher in the draft in your grasp.
That's again, going back to the Giants pick for Darius Toney. It's got to be a speed thing. That's what it means. Is they're changing the offensive system where it's gonna be we're gonna have the fastest guys and just launch it down the field. Maybe that means they're moving more to a no huddle college style offense. Which, hey, I mean, it's worked. We've seen teams like the Ravens, for example, just dominate, feast off that. For San Francisco as well. Now, I think it worked for the Giants. My only problem is Jason Garrett as your offensive coordinator. I don't know how he's going to design that. I assume he's going to design it wrong. So it can't end well.
He's not a bad offensive coordinator. I like Jason Garrett as an offensive coordinator, but he's not creative. He does not have a creative bone in his body, And so, look, the Giants have a lot of speed now. Kenny Golladay is an elite deep threat. Darius Slayton's a good deep threat. And now you got another fast guy.
John Ross, obviously.
John Ross is obviously perhaps the second fastest player in the NFL, only behind Henry Ruggs.
I didn't even say Tyreek Hill.
Oh, right. Yeah. How could I forget him? Okay. Well, not including Tyreek Hill because he's in a league of his own. But yeah,
McCaffrey.
They've got some speed on that offense now. And then of course Evan Ingram's one of the fastest tight ends in the NFL, and Saquon can run. Although I don't know what Saquon's going to look like coming off of an ACL tear.
It's going to be a rough couple weeks.
Well, it might be, it might not be. If the Giants' offensive line is magically good next year, then I mean I expect him to have a bounce back.
It's going to be a
season.
rough 8 weeks.
Yes, but if that's a long time.
Yeah.
It's all right though, because now he has 9 games to recover.
Dyson, he was selected 20th overall by Jacksonville last year. Once again, the Jaguars have 2 first-round draft picks, along with Trevor Lawrence. We'll see who they get. You really think that they're going to be looking for somebody to back up Trevor Lawrence if you want them to say
No.
No.
Zach, no, you don't.
I meant to say like a pass rusher if they're looking for.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was going to say, Zach, you don't draft the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I know that. That's obviously
I don't know if Gettleman knows that.
They want an edge rusher, then they go with Jason Owe.
That would be interesting. That would totally be interesting. I think this should be Greg Rousseau. I think they gotta. You know what? How about that Owusu blah blah blah. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Jeremiah Owusu Karamoa.
Jeremiah Owusu Karamoa. Okay.
He is still the highest prospect available in the draft. You can still come.
They have 2 good linebackers, Joe Schobert and Miles Jack. So I don't expect it to be that guy.
Oh, here's Goodell.
This could be anybody, man.
It's 20 after 11.
Could even be a quarterback.
He's sitting in the couch.
Why not? Kyle Trask.
Gettleman looks good on the couch. Hope he doesn't get drunk again.
Whoa!
Bad pick. Not a good pick. Not a good. I don't like that pick. I love Travis Etienne. I don't like that for Jacksonville. Oh, but you know what? Okay, yeah, that's right. I forgot he was Trevor Lawrence's running back. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say former teammates makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, then how about that, huh? First, it starts off with Joe Burrow reuniting with Jamar Chase, and now it's this.
Yeah, but that's like quarterback receiver is one thing. Yes, quarterbacks can throw passes to running backs, but it's not like they really have like a connection going. You know, that's something that anybody can form with their running back. The thing is just they had James Robinson rush for 1,000 yards as an undrafted rookie. That's really impressive behind what is really not a good offensive line. So that's just a testament to how good of a runner he is, how good of a player he is. I would have committed to James Robinson. I think that this is a missed opportunity to get better on defense. I really do. I like Travis Etienne. I think he's going to have a successful career, but this is a missed opportunity to upgrade your defense.
I wonder how much influence
is going to look really weird in the NFL. You get all these reunions and stuff. I don't know. I just feel like we're just looking at
the current running
back players. They're still playing together, just at the next level.
And looking at the current running back situation,
this is pretty much just the second level of college football, with pretty much many of the players still playing with each other. It's just so weird.
And he's coming in with James Robinson. You said Raquel Armstead, Carlos Hyde, who I think he just picked up from Seattle. You know, so
Raquel
Armstead has not had a good career yet, and he was out last year with COVID. He had it really bad.
Do you think it sounds accurate that the NFL comparison for Travis Etienne is Alvin Kamara?
Maybe. I don't know how Alvin Kamara is such a good receiver that's a tough sell. Travis Etienne can catch a football, but Alvin Kamara could have been an elite slot receiver if he wanted to be. Like, that's how good Alvin Kamara is. So I don't know. We'll see. They compared him to Jamal Charles. I think that's a better comparison because he is a speed back. He is an explosive player. You know, maybe Chris Johnson would be another.
You know what this tells me?
What was that?
You know what this tells me probably? Urban Meyer may have been jealous of Dabo Swinney.
I think what I was going to say is I think that I wonder how much influence Trevor Lawrence had. Probably not a lot, but B, what the thought process was after seeing that prior pick of Pittsburgh, seeing a go there obviously is all right. So the best running back of the draft just got picked up, or maybe the second best just did. We have a chance to get arguably the best running back. Let's take it. It's an interesting thought process, and
I guess so. Yeah.
To me, that's got to be, I think, one of the biggest factors for why you pick him up. Because I mean, Travis Etienne.
This sucks for James Matt. This sucks for James Robinson because don't forget they also have Carlos Hyde too in the backfield.
Right. Well, now I think that means that you get rid of him, or you're getting rid of Raquel Armstrong, who's probably going to be the casualty on this. Because I'm sure Robinson and Etienne
Raquel Armstead is only in his third year, so I don't know. He's not guaranteed a roster spot. He was drafted by a different regime, so he might not make the team. And he hasn't been impressive when he's been on the field. But again, you got James Robinson, Carlos Hyde, and Travis Etienne in that backfield. And then out wide, you got DJ Chark, Marvin Jones Jr., Laviska Shenault, and Colin Johnson at the wide receiver position.
7 picks left to go.
Philip Dorsett as a 5.
Yeah, okay. He kind of sucks, but he is fast. He can. You're
banking on him being good again
if he wants to hold on to the football. If he looks at the quarterback while he throws it to him, he might actually become a good player.
Right.
Brady could not.
If they just strategize to where Dorsett only is used on screens or
deep pass
routes, or I guess deep passes where he just has his eye completely on the quarterback, so he'll get somewhere.
Well, either way, Cleveland's pick is in. Now, Cleveland tremendously upgraded their defense this year. They signed one of the best safeties in football in John Johnson III, and they're getting back Grant Delpit, who was their second-round pick last year at free safety, but he missed his whole rookie season. So they have 2 new starters at safety. They're getting Greedy Williams back corner, opposite Denzel Ward, who's a Pro Bowler. I wonder who this pick is going to be. They're just going to go best pick available here. They have an elite offensive line, 2 great running backs, 2 good receivers, 3 good tight ends. This could be anybody. So this is definitely best player here. I bet you it's Greg Rousseau. Get some edge presence across from Myles Garrett.
Draft-a-thon still, eh?
They might also get a defensive tackle. They lost their 2 starting defensive tackles. So I think this might be a defensive tackle.
Let's see who this. Hello, Cleveland. Hey.
Oh,
you got big.
Okay.
You were right the first
I got
last
faked.
name.
I got faked out, man.
You got faked out. Oh, that's a good one.
Zach caught that. Zach saw my reaction. That's really funny. Yeah. No, that's
Newsom, not bad. Like that's hometown.
Yeah, Cleveland now has 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick at the cornerback position because you got Denzel Ward as a Pro Bowler. You got Greedy Williams, who was a second-round pick 2 years ago, but he missed all of last year with an injury in the training camp. Now you bring in Greg Newsom. They're going to have a really good coverage unit. This Cleveland Browns team has a chance to win their division. It does. I mean, I would never bet against John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens. That's such a good coach, a well-coached team. It's always an elite defense. Lamar Jackson is unstoppable, on in the ground game. So that's going to be a tough division for them to win. But Cleveland's got a chance, man. They gave themselves a chance with this pick right here. Well, they added to their chances with this pick right here. And now, of course, with that being said, Baltimore is the one who's on the clock.
Yep, and this is me and Ken's friend Jim Furchland's favorite team. I'm sure that he's going to be very eager to see who the Ravens are going to get this year. So we know that they're going to be going. They went through pretty much some changes this year as well. What do you think their biggest need's going to be?
Well, I love the Ravens. I think John Harbaugh's a future Hall of Famer at the coach position. I have a feeling that the Ravens are going to draft a receiver right here. Probably Elijah Campbell. But the Ravens need to get Lamar a real playmaker because, yes, Marquise Brown is a good deep threat, but he's not a particularly good route runner, and he's too small. He's 5'9".
It's going to be a little while.
They got him Sammy Watkins. But Sammy Watkins
to get a serious weapon for Lamar Jackson. I mean, they got the running game going well so far. I mean, you don't really see
of course they do, but
no more. I mean, marking.
Well, that's the Greg Roman offense.
Dominance is very solid.
Yeah, the Greg Roman offense is all dominating the run. But I mean, after 3 seasons, everyone kind of figures it out, and things start going on the downturn. They're on year 3, year 4 now.
Yeah.
So this is where
you gotta be able
apart.
to, you got to be able to gain yards on the perimeter. And I mean, Marquise Brown is not going to be open on every play because he's kind of a one-trick pony. And Sammy Watkins is a one-trick pony, and the league figured him out a long time ago. Yet he still keeps finding work because he's talented. So I think that they got to draft a receiver right here, whichever one.
For me, it's Elijah Moore. Yeah, you're right. It could be.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably Elijah Moore.
I accidentally said Elijah Campbell. I'm such an idiot.
You mean Elijah Moore?
Here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing with the Ravens, though. They also had the 31st pick, which they acquired in the trade with the Chiefs for Orlando Brown. So I think one of these 2 picks might be an offensive lineman to replace Orlando Brown. Great point. So, I think they can either get, looking at the list now, Tevin Jenkins of Oklahoma State. I think they can either get him now or they could get him at the 31st pick.
Yeah. And Orlando Brown was where? He was right side? Is that right?
Yeah, well, he was a Pro Bowl right tackle, but he played left tackle in college. And last year, Ronnie Stanley, who's an all-pro left tackle, got hurt. So they moved Orlando Brown to left tackle, and he made the Pro Bowl at that position. He wanted to keep playing left an the Ravens already have an elite left tackle, so he requested a trade, and now he's in Kansas City. So
I add that because Tevin Jenkins strictly played on the right side at Oklahoma State, and he mauled people. So Anthony, I think you brought up a great point. And it makes me change my opinion too, where you're right. I think you could afford to wait for whatever best receivers available. You probably go Tevin Jenkins now, and Elijah Moore not going to be still there at 31. And I think that's a great haul here in Baltimore. And
that actually really is
a very happy man.
That's a good point. That's a great idea too, because I think Jenkins is probably I think he helps their need a little bit more because their interior offensive line has gotten way weaker since Marshall Yonder was hired. So, they didn't exactly replace him. They got Kevin Zeitler at right guard, but left guard is still a question and center is still a question. So I think you should probably look for his name is Tevin Jenkins, right? So yeah, he could probably fill in for Orlando. Yeah. Oh, and the reason why I called Elijah Moore Elijah Campbell is because there's a player on the Jets practice squad named Elijah Campbell. So that was floating around in the back of my mind. So sorry to Elijah Moore if you ever somehow hear this. But yeah. So there's only a couple picks left after this. There's going to be 5 more picks after this selection is made. We got the New Orleans Saints, the Green Bay Packers, the Buffalo Bills, the Baltimore Ravens again picking in the spot of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, New Orleans, they had to release a lot of players this past offseason because of their salary cap issues. So it could be a number of players. It could be anybody on either side of the ball. I would expect it to be a defensive player. They still got most of their talent on offense. And the Packers, I have no clue what they're going to do. Because they might not even have Aaron Rodgers by the end of the weekend. So who knows?
So the Ravens pick is still in. They'll be announcing it in a second. It is 11:32 right now. We're just like less than half an hour away from midnight. We've been really going at this for almost 4 hours. How impressive is that, guys?
I didn't think I'd have it. because I was in class, man, and I was starving, and I was like, no, I can't eat. I got to join the Zoom call. and since then, I've forgotten about my hunger, and now I'm not hungry anymore. And then I'll probably hang up and then just stuff my face and go to sleep. But yeah, so let's see if this is Tevin Jenkins. I do really think that would be the best pick here, and then Elijah Moore at 31, but only time will
Here's
tell.
Goodell now.
With the 27th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Baltimore select Rashad Bateman, Minnesota.
Okay.
Ooh,
I'm not-
Rashad Bateman. So they do go with the weapon.
Yeah, okay. I like Rashad Bateman as a player. I think he would have been available in a couple of picks. But at the same time, I don't know if Tevin Jenkins is going to be available for them now, because New Orleans, they're again, I was talking about earlier how they had to release a lot of veteran talent because of their salary cap issues. Their right guard, who's their right guard? Oh, okay, no, you know what? They're fine at right guard because they have the first round pick Cesar Ruiz at right guard. But then at right tackle, they got Ryan Ramczyk. So they're fine on the offensive line. So Tevin Jenkins will probably fall at least to the Packers. And then the Packers got to consider drafting him because the right side of their offensive line is terrible.
Receiver. Rodgers' future there is in jeopardy.
Well, the Packers
because of his own making.
I'm pretty sure they're going to pull a Raiders and just draft whoever they feel. They'll probably pick a position out of a hat. Maybe they'll go long snapper. I mean, I don't know what is going on in Green Bay.
To be fair, I mean, the Packers are coming off of a 13-3 season. They don't have a whole lot of holes, you know. I mean, they do have at the receiver position. You got Devontae Adams, Marcus Valdes-Scantling.
They got a big one now if Aaron Rodgers ain't coming back.
Yeah, I know, but hey, at least you have Jordan Love, right?
Oh dear.
Well, to be fair,
you weren't here when you weren't here last year for Stony Brook when the football team went to Utah State and got blown out by Jordan Love in the first half.
Yeah, but also to be fair, Jordan Love was a first-round pick, so the Packers have to spend a season with him at one point or another. So, I mean, unless you trade him and commit to Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers just made that a whole lot more difficult today. So
he's not coming back.
Yeah, by saying he has no intention of coming back. He might in the future have intentions of coming back. I mean, I don't know why he would. He has all the leverage in this situation.
I mean, I don't want to say all, just because the Packers still got 2-3 years with him. In terms of power, you're right.
But it's unguaranteed. The thing is it's unguaranteed money. So, like if they release, then he goes and he makes even more money elsewhere, and they get no compensation. For it.
I understand that. I'm just saying. I wouldn't necessarily say
if they don't
one is more than the other.
Trade, yeah, but the thing is it's like Aaron Rodgers can force his way out by whenever a player announces that they don't want to play for a team, the team loses leverage because other teams now know that they don't have to give up as much to get a guy like that who doesn't even want to be there in the first place. So they already lost leverage in trade talks. And now with the fact that his money is unguaranteed, if they cut him, he walks and they get nothing for him. They get nothing for Aaron Rodgers. Think about that. The most talented quarterback ever, you know, maybe so some are already crowning Mahomes that, and it's hard to disagree with that. But one of the top two quarterback talents ever, they could potentially get nothing for him. So Aaron Rodgers has all of the leverage against the Green Bay Packers. And hey, guess what?
He can
retire too. He can retire and host Jeopardy. Why not? He's having fun. He's engaged now. He's having fun in his personal life. It's probably not fun always losing the NFC Championship game because of some bad decisions you made in the offseason coming back to haunt you in the most pivotal moment. So
yeah. They really need to go.
By the time we come back from commercial break on
like Elijah Moore.
The Packers?
Yeah.
Well, so I have a question. So Devin Funch just signed with the Packers last year, and then he opted out. Is he coming back? Because when you opt out, you're supposed to delay your contract. So he was supposed to be under contract. Did they release him, or is he still on the team? No, he's still on the team. So I mean,
I don't know what happened with him, but even if he is coming back, I don't see him as a solid wide receiver 2 behind Davante Adams, because
I disagree. I think he is a solid wide receiver 2, especially when Davante Adams is your wide receiver 1, because he's going to command so many double teams. You know, I mean, Devin Funchess, who's 6'4" and strong-handed, he's going to be wide open.
Well, here's the thing. I think when they signed Funchess, that was the idea, to have him play that number 2 spot. Now, obviously, they have a bunch of other receivers like Alan Lazard and like Marcus Valdez-Scantling, so they're fine there. But like the one thing you could argue that they're missing is a true speed receiver, which is what Elijah Moore is. So,
well, no, Marcus,
if he falls to them,
didn't
I mean,
he lead
true,
the league in yards per catch last year?
I believe so.
Yeah,
but I mean, having multiple speed receivers is not a bad thing.
No, yeah, it's not a bad thing at all. It's well, Lazard can run too. The thing that the Packers have is not only do they have two fast guys there, they've got tall guys. Davante Adams is the shortest receiver of them all, and he's 6'1". You know, well, of the good receiver, I know that down the line there's like some practice squad guys like Darius Shepard or whatever who's kind of short, but I mean, Davante Adams is 6'1", Funchess is 6'4", Lazard is 6'5", and I think MVS is 6'3" or 6'4". So he's got some big, tall, moderately strong-handed receivers, and they can all get open. That's not their issue. The offensive line is problematic. They lost Cortland. They lost. They have Bakhtiari at left tackle, but they don't have, and they have Elton Jenkins at left guard. He might move over to center now because he played center in college, but they got some deficiencies on the offensive line and defensive line. Either way, it's a Saints selection now, and now the Packers are on the clock.
Saints are on the clock.
Peyton Turner. Okay,
defense.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know who that is, but it is the first round, and you kind of start getting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's projected to go top 50.
Okay,
but
they're showing a highlight reel from sacking Zach Wilson.
So this is a pass rusher, right?
Yeah.
Peyton Turner.
Okay. Yes, this is an edge rusher, and he was projected to go top 50, really around 45, 46.
The grades on are not good. On NFL Network, he had a 72 overall grade. That this is, according to the draft scouts, a really
not much better on ESPN. Only at a 76.
Yeah, so they're in accordance that this was a reach, and the Packers just submitted their pick. So, I guess our question will be answered very soon.
They didn't know receiver.
And by the way, I side with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers on this issue. Yeah, yes, this would be a perfect time for them to take Jeremiah Owusu's third name.
I agree with you.
Why don't we just do initials JOK? How's that?
Fine, that's fine with me.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna
Jeremiah Owusu. I'll just go with that.
Because that's shorting him. JOK. He's JOK.
Okay.
You did it for TSM, so come on now.
Yeah, MVS, Marcus Valdez-Scantling. We're gonna have an MVS and a JOK on the Packers.
Packers are on the clock. They have their pick in. 20 minutes to midnight.
And they really should have won that championship game versus the Buccaneers. I mean,
I agree with you there.
It's a 1 in a billion chance that Tom Brady throws 3 straight interceptions in the fourth quarter. Yet they turned it into 6 total points. It was a horrendous just plateau that they hit where they could not get over the hump. They were given unlimited chances to come back, take the lead, and then even add to that lead. And they just They left men on base out there. It was a bad finish to that game. And then obviously the questionable field goal call.
So you don't think that Aaron Rodgers you don't think the rumors of Aaron Rodgers leaving Green Bay is going to affect the 29th overall pick for the Packers?
No, I don't.
Kyle Trask.
I don't think so, because I think that the Packers.
Kyle Trask, I don't see him being drafted yet.
No, I don't think Kyle Trask is even going to be drafted in the second round. I don't see it happening. I think that this pick is going to be JOK, and if it's not, we'll see. It could be Elijah Moore. That wouldn't surprise me. It could be an offensive lineman. It could be anybody, right? Really, in theory, it could be anybody except a quarterback.
Could be Terrace Marshall from LSU or Rashad Bateman.
Yeah. Well, it can't be.
Yeah.
Rashad Bateman.
Oh, sorry, Bateman got picked. I'm sorry.
We got 4 picks left to go through round 1.
Except him, yeah.
Could be Dwayne Eskridge from West Michigan.
Zach Wilson. Yeah.
Mari Rogers from Clemson. If you want to replace Rogers with Rogers.
I am ready to get my jersey.
Yeah. You should
get
get
it. That going on sale. Oh, it's not on sale yet.
Well, the thing is he wore
wait 2 to 4 weeks to get it
so
after the number for the player is confirmed.
Right.
Well, you can buy draft pick jerseys. They always have those every year for the first round pick, where it's the name with the number 1.
Yeah, but I don't expect. Yeah, but I'm expecting.
But Zach Wilson's probably going to wear number 1 because
he wore it in college. I don't see him changing it at all.
Well, he did wear 11 before that, I think. So.
I guess I think he's going to wear either one, but I think number 1's a lot more attuned because he wore number 1 in his best season ever in college. So.
Yeah, he should. He has no reason not to wear number 1.
All right, here's the Green Bay Packers pick.
With the 29th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Eric Stokes, defensive back, Georgia.
Wow,
Eric
another reach. Oh my God.
I didn't even hear this guy either.
Dude, what happened after the 13th overall pick? What has gone on? He's fast, by the way. That should be noticed. The dude is fast. It runs like a bat out of hell, and he's got decent size. He's a little shorter than 6'1". He's a great athlete, but this is a reach, in my opinion. Now, this could end up. You know what? Okay. I don't think this is a reach. I think it's a decent pick. I don't think it's a great pick.
I think it's a reach because really I didn't see him anywhere.
They should have gone for the weapon. I feel bad for Elijah Moore and Terrence Marshall.
I didn't see him picked anywhere in the top 5, nonetheless. I think maybe eked out at 10. I mean, I think his best trait is knocking the ball out of hands. But I mean, he's not a guy who's going to get you interceptions.
Well, he did have 4 last year, I think.
It's funny you say that because ESPN made special note that 3 of the 4. This is a quote: 3 of the 4 interceptions were gift wrapped in 2020. So they're arguing he only had 1.
Okay, all right. So then my first take was correct. Then it's a reach. But the thing is I do think that Eric Stokes has the athletic ability to end up making this 29th selection worth it. Now, of course, on the clock are the reigning AFC East champions, not the New England Patriots, the Buffalo Bills, the AFC runner-ups from last year. Now, the Bills had a really good defense the first couple of years under Sean McDermott. We saw that regress last year because their pass rush really hit a wall. Their pass rush was awful last year. So I expect this to be a pass rusher. Greg Rousseau is still available. I've been saying his name for the past 12 picks now.
Yeah, because nobody's picked him up, not even the Giants.
We've been saying JOK for 3 hours. So
I'm sorry.
I do understand why Aaron Rodgers wants to leave. All he has is Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. If anything, you should try and take them with him.
Maybe he found out earlier they're going to go cornerback with their first round pick, and that's when he wanted to dip. I'm sure he's drinking somewhere, laughing his butt off.
To have known that. No, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that this Bills team is scary, and it got better during the offseason. They added Emmanuel Sanders to a receiving corps that already has Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, and Gabriel Davis. That they have.
I feel like all
Zach
they,
Moss
I think,
and
I just think that
Perry and the running back.
Buffalo looks great on defense. I just think that what they need is probably just another pass protector or something like that.
Here's a fun fact for you on Green Bay.
That Josh Allen is athletic enough.
Well, let me get this done. Here's a fun fact for Green Bay. The Packers' last 10 first-rounders have been 9 defensive guys and Jordan Love.
Yeah. Well, but you want to know why that's sad? Because the Packers have perpetually, until the last 2 years, they've always had terrible defenses. So all these picks are not working out, really. And even when they do work out, they only work out in short term. Like, Clinton Dix was a Pro Bowl free safety for them, but then they traded him. Jair Alexander has been really good for them at the cornerback position. And then they had Rashawn Gary, he's improved. He had a disappointing rookie year, but he had a decent sophomore season. So it looks like he's on the upward climb. But really, they drafted a lot of defensive guys in the first round that didn't work out. Like in 2013, they drafted Tone Jones, and he was horrible. And so they've got to figure it out. Like in 2015, cornerback who was to be a safety, Towns, and actually having his best season in his first year with the Browns because they moved him back to his position of safety. So the Packers have not had a lot of success drafting on the defensive side of the ball, but recently they have hit on a couple of guys. Hopefully they hit on this guy too. That would be nice if they could stop the pass, because their pass defense ranks pretty high last year, but a lot of that had to do with their pass rush. Zadarius Smith and company off the edge, they got a lot of sacks. They got a lot of negative pass yards. Now their defensive line is also a train wreck, but they make up for it with good edge rush. So, the pass defense numbers are skewed. Whenever the game gets tight, they do seem to allow a lot of big plays in the passing game, like they did last year against Tampa with the Kevin King getting beat by Scotty Miller before the half. So hopefully this can shore up their secondary, because they do have a couple of good safeties too, and Adrian Amos at the strong safety and Darnell Savage at the free safety. Now the pick is in for Buffalo. This is probably going to be an edge rusher, perhaps Greg Rousseau. They drafted AJ Epineza in the second round last year. He really disappointed as a rookie. Jerry Hughes was released recently. They don't have much of an interior either outside of et al. This will be somebody.
Yeah, so we got our friend Cameron Boone, who's a big Buffalo fan, of course, and we're sure that he'll also be very anxious to see who the Bills get after they're coming off of their AFC Championship season. Here's the pick. There's Rousseau.
Well, it's about time, because I've been calling his name for the past couple, at least the past for now. I'm not going to say I called it because I've been calling it. But yeah, this makes a lot of sense for Buffalo. Definitely makes a lot of sense for Buffalo.
Yep.
Now Baltimore goes back on the clock with their second first-round pick. And Tevin Jenkins was not picked, so they got a little lucky there. I would expect this to be Tevin Jenkins. I'd be shocked if it were anybody else.
This is quite as
need is too strong of a word, but realistically, I think you gotta get him. Of all the people, I think you gotta get Edmonds. I mean, or Jenkins. I'm sorry. It's practically being handed to you. All you gotta do is go out and get.
Well, that does help the pass rusher situation for Buffalo, because you'd still get Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison right there, and they're they're good, but they're starting to get a little old, and you need to consider the future in that position. So I see why Russo fits that category for the Bills, and I like it. So we got the Ravens on the clock now. Just 2 picks left to go. It's 6.5 minutes left. So we know what the Ravens did a little while ago. They're getting Rashad Bateman. And so we'll see what they decide to do with their 31st overall pick. Do you guys have anything to add with this? We're just 7 minutes left from midnight and 2 picks left to go here in round 1.
Well, I'd actually be shocked if Tampa made this selection. For whatever reason, every single year, the reigning Super Bowl champions, the team that inherits the 32nd overall pick, they never make the selection. They always end up trading back into the second round. So I would expect to see Tampa maybe try doing that. They're not going to have any money to spend this offseason because they spent it all bringing everybody back.
They want to be the super team. They want to be the so-called super team again.
It's a smart idea. They're just keeping the same team. They're keeping the same roster because of the team chemistry. But the thing is that costs a lot of money. So when you have no money, you have to draft players because they cost less money, right? So you need more draft picks, and in order to do that, you could trade your first round pick for some extra second round picks.
Before them, super team this past season, I didn't think so. I know they won the Super Bowl, but you get your luck sometimes. They're
a great team.
Sound like
I'm not discrediting them for a minute. I think that they're a great team. But of course, we have to tend to Baltimore first. If this isn't Tevin Jenkins, I'd be really shocked. I'd be really, really shocked.
Two picks left. It's quite spectacle we're seeing. We may not be expecting too much. I'm sure nobody really has too much to add since we are probably near the end, and we may not expect any too much of a big picks if that's what it looks like.
No, sorry, I was sending a text. That's the only reason why I wasn't talking. But yeah, there's not really much more to say. I mean, Baltimore needs help on the offensive line. They're all right now. Really, their only mainstay is Ronnie Stanley, and then of course Kevin Zeitler, the new acquisition. But I mean, they don't need any help in the secondary. They have a loaded cornerback room. They got some decent safeties. They drafted Queen in the first round. He's a stud middle linebacker. They got an okay edge presence. They did lose Matt Judon. Their defense line is strong. Their receiving core, I mean, they just drafted one wide receiver. I don't see them drafting another in the first round, at least. And they've got some good tight ends. Mark Andrews is a Pro Bowler. Nick Boyle's the best blocking tight end in the league. It makes sense here that Tevin Jenkins would be the pick. And then, yeah, I expect Tampa to definitely trade this pick. The question is who trades back into the first round. whoever would be trading back into the first round to draft at 32nd, they're only because they want the 5th-year. That's as a 5-year player, and I'm not sure who would trade back in. So only time will tell. But the Ravens pick is in right now, so we'll see who the newest Baltimore Raven is.
Yeah, and I'm almost expecting a lot of things to happen tomorrow as well. Could be a lot of things to watch. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. We know that Rashad Bateman was chosen by the Ravens back a few picks ago. It'll be a matter of time to see what the Ravens will do with this 31st pick. So we are just 2 minutes away from the witching hour of midnight, which would officially make it Friday, April 30th. We've been really doing this for quite a while, and I tell you,
do I get paid for working overtime?
What was that?
I said, do I get paid for working overtime?
If only we could. Believe me, we put all of our work and effort into this, and I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for coming out, of course, and especially those tuning in every Sunday, 10 to midnight.
Yeah, don't forget, we will have our reactions again to the NFL draft on Sunday night at 10 p.m. on the sports section, as we usually do. We'll be sharing our
that might actually lead off our coverage, if that's what you think. You guys think should lead it off?
I do want to talk about one thing with the draft. So the Jets traded both of their third-round picks in this year's draft to swap first-round picks with the Vikings. The Jets have this second pick of the second round in tomorrow's, in the draft tomorrow. I expect the Jets to trade back now in the second round, so that way they can get at least a third-round pick back. So I think that's something you should watch out for. If there's a player at 34 that somebody else might really want, I think the Jets are going to sell that 34th overall pick, try to drop a little in the second round, and get some third-round picks back.
Yeah, I understand what you're
But also, in the spirit of, hold on, Zach. In the spirit of plugging ourselves at WUSB, I also.
So it's going to be okay.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'll wait a little bit.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah. Really?
Jason Away. Oh, right, the linebacker. Of course.
That's Penn State linebacker. So both Penn State linebackers went in the first round.
Interesting.
Good.
Yeah, that's good for them. He is an edge rusher. So this is obviously he's a fast edge rusher too. That should not be forgotten. But he's definitely going to be Matt Judon's replacement. That was what they. Yeah. So now that the Ravens made their selection, in the spirit of plugging ourselves at WUSB, I also happen to write for the Statesman, the Stony Brook Statesman. I'm one of the sports writers there. I cover the softball team. My second article was just released today. Go check that out. And I would appreciate that greatly. You could also follow me on Twitter at MikeAnderson_15. And you can follow me on Instagram at MikeAnderson15. I usually post my my articles there too. So go check them out. I'd appreciate it. And now we've got the last pick of the first round. And so we'll see what Tampa Bay decides to do here. They don't have a need, so they're definitely just going to draft best player available. Question is, who is the best player available?
I do not know who they could possibly go for.
Well, I've been saying all night. JOK, Elijah Moore, take your pick. Now those don't really, I don't know if the Bucks need anything in particular, considering they win all the way. So I don't know if those guys fit in any capacity.
Elijah Moore is an interesting one because, well, first of all, they shouldn't take JOK because they have two outstanding inside linebackers. You have Levante David and Devin White. So that would be silly to take JOK. But at wide receiver, yes, you have a ton of wide receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, and they brought back Antonio Brown. But however, Godwin and Brown are both on 1-year contracts. So they both become free agents at the end of the year, and Tampa's not going to have a lot of money to re-sign them. So Elijah Moore could potentially be Chris Godwin's replacement, and the pick is in. So we'll see. They didn't trade the pick. They're making
Right, here we go, guys. This is it. The final pick of the draft is coming up for the round one.
I'd be a liar if I said I knew who that was.
Me too. This is
he is an edge rusher.
There wasn't too much need for the Buccaneers to find anybody.
Obviously, they liked him enough to because if you draft anyone in the late first round, you're getting that 5th-year option for them. So obviously, they liked him enough to want that 5th-year option on him. But this is a legitimate reach. So Elijah Moore,
Joe Tryon is an interesting pick for sure. You're right.
Yeah, he opted out. Linebacker. He opted out last year, and the draft experts here on NFL Network, I believe it's Daniel Jeremiah, had him rated at a 52. So that's actually awful. Now I'm not going to say the pick is awful. I don't know.
It doesn't really matter either.
He's not going to be the way. So yeah, he's not gonna start day one. Obviously, they have Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett coming off the edge. So there's not enough room for him to start. But he could find his way into being a good role player. I don't like the idea of drafting a role player in the first round, but we'll see. Only time will tell if this was a good pick or not.
Yeah, probably.
So Elijah Moore falls to the second round. That's a big one. And so it was an eventful night. It was filled. The first half of the draft was filled with really great picks, and the second half of the round was just filled with reaches and surprises.
Yeah, especially with the Giants, and I'm still disappointed with that.
Yes, but you know what though? Let's stay in state. What a night for the Jets. So they get their quarterback at number 2 overall. And then they're able to save up their future first and second round picks, yet still move up 9 spots to get their left guard of the future, the number 1 graded guard in this draft, in Elijah Vera Tucker. So good for them. Great night for Joe Douglas, the general manager of the New York Jets.
Yeah, it's very impressive too, because
Are we live? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. Did Zach freeze? Is that?
He's frozen on mine.
I don't even know. Well, he was frozen on my end too. Can you hear me, Ken?
I hear you. Well, he's out.
Yeah, he just left.
So, okay, Zach just left. I guess Zach's gonna come back.
So for now, it says I'm in control of the live stream.
That's unfortunate. I wanted.
Assuming we're live, we'll get Zach back in. Let's Zach back in. There we go.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We're still live. Sounding good.
Yeah, we are definitely still live, even when I face
12:06 a.m. and what a draft.
So
yes, what a night.
Yeah, this was really some big round 1 draft to watch for tonight. We can't wait for the second and third round tomorrow, as well as rounds 4 through 7 on Saturday.
Yep.
Right. So you guys all good?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
fun week
right.
to get along, of course.
Yes, right. I think we said what we needed to say.
Fun. Well, there's a fun weekend ahead of us for WSB. So
yep, it sure is. Be sure to tune into our Twitter feed to keep up with what we're going to be doing as far as we're concerned. Saturday, it's all about women's lacrosse versus UMBC Senior Day on the YouTube live stream. Be on the lookout for that link, and then tune on to the radio when the baseball team takes on the Binghamton Bearcats. Another big America East bout for them to enter May. So that will do it. Zach Wilson here, along with Ken Furman, Mike Anderson, and Anthony Leon, giving you the live reactions to day 1 of the 2021 NFL Draft.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to tune in Sunday 10 to 12. Listen to the sports section on WUSB. And I think that's all we got.
Yep, that's definitely all we got. All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We are about to sign off. You guys, everyone have a good night, and be sure to be able to look into